Are we live on the air yet?
Almost.
Better than being dead on. Better than dead on the air.
And here we go. So we are live, guys. What is up? This is Dan Bidondi for TruthRadioShow.com. Brian Reece and our guest tonight, Kent Hovind, and welcome everybody to Spiritual Warfare Friday. Tonight's broadcast is Shattering the Satanic Paradigm of Evolution. That's right, the so-called theory of evolution that you learn in school and college, the garbage that you learn, complete dumbing down of society and our system in general, just to dumb down the public. So we're going to get into all that stuff, and we got, Kent Hovind here. I can't say enough about this guy. I've been watching this guy for years, even before I got into broadcast journalism. And I've learned so much from Kent Hovind and about creation, and it just brings creation more to life when you watch his videos, and you completely understand Genesis and all the, beginning of how the earth was created and all that, and it all makes sense. It all makes sense versus the evolution garbage that you learn in the school. So we're going to get into that, and we're going to let Ken show some slides and everything, and we'll also get into some, basically, the Jesuit origins, the secret societies pushing evolution to dumb down mainly the churches and dumb down society in general. And this is disgusting. And you got Charles Dawson, Charles Darwin, Pierre Teilhard-Chardin, a bunch of these cats out there who took evolution, used elaborate hoaxes to push it mainstream into the education system and then the scientific community. And it's horrible. And the thing is, most churches out there, they should be on the front lines of the stuff. And these Sunday schools and all that, to teach these kids these things, and the parents, hey, you need to get these kids out of these evolution classes. Because I think it was you, Kent Hovind, that told me, in your video, you said that children who want to learn evolution, I forget the percentage you said, that go on to college to learn evolution, they end up turning away from the faith. So without any further ado, Kent, what's going on, brother?
All right. Yes, sir. God's been good. Some of God's kids drive me nuts from time to time, but God's good. I'm in Lenox, Alabama, straight north of Pensacola, 70 miles. Someone gave us 7.5 years ago 140 acres here, an old gravel pit. Nice. And we're building a dinosaur adventure land, Christian campground, science center, museum, theme park, all based on science and the Bible. It drives the atheists nuts. Actually, that would not be a drive. It'd be a short putt. But anyway, yeah, we are having a good time defending the Bible as being scientifically accurate. I've been a Baptist preacher 49 years. I taught science and math 15 years in high school. and I do a lot of debates. I just finished one a few minutes ago, debate number 336 for me against evolutionists who believe they came from a rock. So I have a wonderful time doing all this. And so come join us down in Lenox, Alabama at Dinosaur Adventureland, or go to our website, drdino.com, DRDINO, or our YouTube channel is Genesis Baptist Church on YouTube, and follow us along. Thank you.
Absolutely. So yeah, it's going to be an awesome broadcast. And again, I've been following you for years, and you make these evolutionist people look dumb, literally. And it's not just that you're doing it to be cocky; you're just bringing the word of God and real science to these people. And they think that the bad part is they think what they're preaching is science. And when you use real science, because science is something you could observe and demonstrate. You can't observe and demonstrate anything to do with evolution. However, we could observe and demonstrate everything to do with God's creation because we're living in it. It's crazy.
Well, God said they would always bring forth after their kind.
Yep.
That's all anybody's ever seen. Cows make baby cows, dogs make baby dogs. There are no exceptions. Now, if you wish to imagine that a dog and a cow and a banana have a common ancestor, okay, but that's imagination. That's not science. Science is what we can observe, study, and test. Go test it. Check crossbreed dogs. I bet you get a puppy. I bet you $5 you get a puppy.
I know Brian wanted to ask me some questions and everything too, so go for it.
Well, yeah, speaking of that, there's a lot of things going on. I've been to the Ark in Kentucky, here in Williamstown, Kentucky. There's a monkey on display. They talk about the Lucy and all that, the monkey that we all came from, and that's the big thing in evolution. They try to debunk it, and they have this big elaborate, it's a really cool setup, but they go on this, they still have the so-called monkey, the displayed there behind glass and everything. It talks about the whole narrative and trying to disprove evolution. What's your take on this whole monkey narrative? And I mean, they do a good job in the Hollywood narrative with the Planet of the Apes and everything, and defragmenting the brain, like we was talking about before we even push play on the live broadcast. They're belittling and making everybody dumb in the school systems and everything. And when they get into adulthood, they believe we came from apes. So what's your take on that, Kent?
Well, if you look at the much bigger picture, let's zoom out, look at the big picture. God told the devil in the Garden of Eden after he tricked Eve and she gave to Adam. He was not tricked. He did it to save his wife. But God said to the serpent, someday some seed of the woman is going to bruise your head. And so ever since that day, the devil's goal has been to kill all of humans, kill every human. By any way he can, whether that be by crazy medical practices or by wars or by any abortion, kill all the humans. In any game, if you're on defense, you got to look, what is the other guy's goal? In basketball, he wants to get that ball through that hoop behind me. My job is to prevent that, okay? He might fake right, fake left, fake up, fake down, but his goal doesn't change. He wants to put the ball through that hoop. So what is the devil's goal? The devil's goal is to reduce the human population to zero. So he has convinced some people that they are smarter than everybody else, and they should reduce the population so they get to take over the world like Pinky and the Brain. This is Adolf Hitler, who says, wow, the blonde-haired, blue-eyed Germans are a superior race, and we should kill off everybody else. And he killed a bunch of them because he was a strong believer in evolution. All of communism is based on evolution. And I cover this on my video series. It's 18 hours long. You can get it for $50 on our website, drdino.com. But video number 5 talks about how dangerous this theory is. It's not just stupid, it's dangerous. We're teaching the kids they're an animal and then wondering, why are they acting like animals? I've asked atheists hundreds of times in my debates. I say, guys, I have a very simple question. If evolution is true, how do you tell right from wrong on any topic? How do you tell, where's your standard? Where's your ruler? How do you measure right and wrong? I would say, is it wrong for someone to go next door, kill the neighbor's baby and eat it? Yeah. Well, the lion does it every day to the zebra. Why is it wrong for a human to do it and not wrong for a zebra or a lion to do it? Where's the standard? If we're just an animal, well, then let's get the humans to go next door and kill the neighbor's baby and eat it. You see what I mean? They don't have a standard for right and wrong. If evolution is true, there is no such thing as right and wrong. It doesn't exist. And that's why we're teaching kids they evolved from an ape and wonder, why are they acting like an ape? Well, duh, look what you just taught them for 12 years. teach them they're made in the image of God and they're going to answer to God one day for their life and their words and their actions. Wow, they act different. But I think evolution. You got to define the word evolution. In my seminars, I show the word evolution has 6 different meanings or levels or stages. First, you'd have to start off with cosmic evolution. Where did time, space, and matter come from? I was debating 3 atheists at one time at Embry-Riddle University, and one of them asked me that question, where did God come from? I gave a 2-minute answer that someone told me now has 900 million views, 2 minutes long. Just type in, where did God come from, by Kent Hovind. And that's a great question and a simple answer. The question is invalid. Where did God come from? Those 5 words. 4 of the words don't apply to God. Where? Well, that involves distance, like he has to move someplace. What if he's already in every place? He's already everywhere. Well, then the where, you can't use the word where. Did involves time, past, present, future. God's not locked in time. We're stuck in time. If you ever wished you could go back 5 seconds and undo the dumb thing you just did, yeah, okay. We're stuck in time. God's not. Where did doesn't apply to God. God come from. Again, distance and time. The question's invalid. If God is truly outside of time, space, and matter, then the evolutionists have to get an answer. Where did time, space, and matter come from? And so they make up a story. Well, a dot of nothing exploded. Oh, a dot of nothing exploded. And you want to call that science? That's their fairy tale. The Big Bang is nothing but a fairy tale. It's not science. We don't ever see dots of nothing exploding and making universes. Then, so I think if you're going to discuss evolution, I've learned in all my debates, you have to define the word. Exactly what are you talking about? And there are 6 different meanings. Cosmic evolution, chemical, stellar, organic, macro, and micro. If you watch my video number 4, I talk about the lies in the textbooks. I define very carefully all 6 levels or stages of that word evolution. Number 6 is the only one that's actually science. Variations within the same kind. There are now 339 breeds of dogs. They might have had a common ancestor called a dog. That's a variation of a dog. It doesn't prove dogs are related to tomatoes, but that's what they teach the kids in school. They've got these stupid family trees like this one. Yes, boys and girls, the humans and the birds and the reptiles and the ladybugs, oh, and the pine trees and the worms all had a common ancestor. This isn't science. This is propaganda. Yeah. This is a bunch of lines on paper. This is artwork. So I just resent them calling that science. It's a religion. Oh, don't forget the frog. He's in there. It's a religion. Evolution is nothing but a religion that people believe in, and I wish they would keep their religion out of our public schools. It's polluting science and destroying our society.
I think a lot of it has to do with what we discussed before the program. You know, the AI and the black mirrors that we have is literally we're not evolving. We're de-evolving, as far as education purposes. We're nothing like we was several thousand years ago. I mean, we can even prove that through antediluvian, even the Aztecs, the Mayans. I mean, they had more advanced technology than, they might not have had all the little gadgets we had, but they did have more advancements. And then I think, this is my take too, I think they're dumbing down the society because they want us to believe that we come from apes. They want us to believe we come from pond scum or whatever type of organism out of the crack or crevice of the earth. And they believe they're making us feel like that, make us dumb because I have to go here. This is what I believe, that the fallen angel narrative, I think they're dumbing down everybody to literally make us think that we are animals, that we're inferior, we're indigenous. You hear that term way back in the past in the Indian cultures and everything, even up into modern time. I think that they think we're so ignorant that we can't comprehend the reality.
Well, it's that part of that New Age agenda because they want us to think we're evolving into gods and this cosmic shift and all that New Age garbage. And the other thing too is like we talk about the beginning, right? They want us to believe that 13.8 billion years ago the universe was created. Who was around for that to measure that? Where was the demonstration and observation, of somebody to witness 13.8 billion years ago of the Big Bang happening and whatever million years ago the Earth formed? We don't have, there's no proof for any of that. And they call that science. It's really ridiculous. Instead of believing in what God says, God created the heavens and the earth. How simple is that? But you want to come up with this elaborate hoax that this little tiny dot out of nowhere appeared and all the matter in the universe come out of this little explosion. It's crazy. It really is. See the SpongeBob's. Yeah. Hey.
Yeah, I got a bunch of SpongeBob behind me. What the evolutionists have done over the last 150 years, they've been teaching this stupid theory. They say, how did this animal change to something else? They say, well, you got to give it millions of years. Let's add millions of years. If that doesn't work, add billions of years. Now that will change it. It's a fairy tale for grown-ups. That's all it is. Time is their hero. That's why in my video number 1, I go through the age of the earth. How old is this earth? Well, if you add up the dates that are given in the Bible, read Genesis chapter 5. It tells us Adam was 130 when his son was born. And then he lived 800 years after that and had sons and daughters. How many kids could you have in 800 years?
A lot.
See, one every 9 months and 20 minutes, that would be a lot, okay? So if you add up all the dates in Genesis chapter 5 and Genesis 11 after the flood takes you clear up to Joseph, and we know he was the vice pharaoh of Egypt, and we've got history from then on, clearly the Bible teaches the earth is about 6,000 years old. And there was a big flood 4,400 years ago. Noah built the boat, saved all the critters on board. And that flood is what explains all the geology of the earth. I do debates with atheists all the time, and they talk about their stupid geologic column. They say, guys, they say the layers are different ages. Look at that. The top layer is the Holocene. It's only 10,000 years old. Oh, really? Oh, yeah. And the bottom one is the Archean. That's 2.5 billion. I say, guys, if the layers are different ages, I have a very simple question for you. Where are these top layers coming from? Are they coming from outer space? Where did this material come from? If I shake up these sand dart toys here, they're on my desk a minute ago. I don't know where they went. Anyway, sand dart. It doesn't matter. You flip them over, they make different layers of colors and sand, you know. Mm-hmm. Are the layers different ages? If you shuffle a deck of cards, is the top card younger?
Nope.
No. They're all the same age. All the layers are the same age. There's no such thing as a geologic column. It does not exist anywhere on the planet. And all over the world, polystrata fossils are found, like this one. Here's a petrified tree standing up, running through a bunch of layers. Well, now, how long does a dead tree stand around in Kentucky, brother? A couple years, right?
Yeah.
Probably the same in Rhode Island, not millions of years.
Yeah.
Petrified trees that are standing up, running through all these layers, is pretty clear evidence. The layers all formed in less than a year before the tree could rot. It is just plain stupid to teach this geologic column, which does not exist. But kids, they spend hours and hours and hours memorizing the names of the Cenozoic, Mesozoic, Jurassic, Triassic, Mississippian, Devonian, Silurian. It's all baloney. It doesn't exist anywhere except their imagination. Petrified trees that are standing up. There is no geologic column. Anyway, go ahead. I'm sorry.
No, I agree. I didn't mean to interrupt you. I agree. I have a little story. It's only going to take a minute. When I was younger, when I was a kid, I remember I knew somebody that planted a tree when I was real young, but I think 10 years had passed, and we took a field trip to this same field. It was to do with agriculture, and we studying trees and everything. And they was like, yeah, this tree is like a couple hundred years old. And I was sitting there saying, I'm like, I remember who planted this. I was like 4 years old, and they're like, yeah, it's a couple hundred years old. Now, even back then, my discernment meter was going off, and I'm thinking, this don't feel right. You have these, I mean, I hate to be mean, but you have these adults being baboons and being imbeciles and literally teaching this stuff. It's kind of like the Building Out That Science Guy Act, and it's so heartbreaking, Kent. And I know you know this, that like you said at the beginning of the broadcast, they're dumbing down the society, and they've done a darn good job. And I hate to give credit to the devil, but he's done a good job of deceiving the masses as far as, and the discernment of the Holy Spirit is not, they're not leaning on the Holy Spirit. They're leaning on their own interpretation and their traditions. They're not even, it's just all fairy tale. I agree with you. It's all fairy tale. I mean, and I have another question for you real quick. How does something become petrified so quickly? How does something become petrified so quickly, Kent?
Well, petrified is where the minerals in the ground replace the cells as they decay. And there's a lot of examples. Joseph, did you post that video we had of the guy sent me of all the rapid petrification? Okay, we'll post it. On my video number 4, I believe, lies in the textbooks. I talk about that. I show a picture of a cowboy boot with the leg still in it, turned to stone. Petrified, lots of things have been found fossilized, they turn to stone. In a couple of years, it can happen. But when you look at, I cover, how do you prove the earth is not billions of years old? Well, the Bible says 6,000. Okay. Well, we know that we're living on a great big ball called planet Earth, and we know it is spinning around. There's overwhelming scientific evidence. It's round and it's spinning. Okay. We also know it is slowing down. Any spinning object eventually slows down. Okay. Well, we know why, too. The Earth is slowing down because of lunar drag and tidal friction and internal forces and Coriolis effect of the wind, and I cover all that in video number 1. Okay. If you do all the math and say, look, the Earth is slowing down, that means it used to be going faster. Yeah. Well, how far back in time can you go? It slows down 1,000th of a second every day. So if you go back 1,000 days, less than 3 years, you have to speed up the Earth by a second. Go back 10,000 years, you got to speed it up by 10 seconds. What if you go back 10 million or 3 billion years? Well, then the Earth is spinning so fast, no life can be here, and the Earth would flatten out like a Frisbee. Just the spinning Earth proves it's not 4.6 billion years old. We have a moon going around the Earth, and the moon is gradually getting further away. The moon's leaving us about 1.5 inches a year, 1.6 inches a year. The moon is slowly moving out. Well, that means it used to be closer. Well, how far back in time can you go with that problem? 1 billion years ago, the moon and Earth, like two magnets, would have snapped together. The lunar orbit collapses about 1 billion years ago. So why are we teaching the kids it's 4.6 billion? Oh, because they need 4.6 billion to turn their frog to a prince. That's why. That's the only reason. There's hundreds of ways to prove scientifically this Earth is not billions of years old. But when you take away time from an evolutionist, that's like pulling a pacifier out of a baby's mouth. They will scream and cry. They need millions of years. If that doesn't work, billions of years, and they will scream to keep their time. And that one argument about the age of the Earth destroys evolution. Even if we see animals change a little bit, big dogs, little dogs, there isn't enough time to turn the amoeba to a dog. Not enough time. Okay, go ahead.
Yeah, and it's so mind-boggling, really, is that when they teach us stuff and you look at them, and the thing is, here's the thing, right? Because they got the diplomas, the degrees, the master's degrees, and everything else, the doctrines, so they think they're more superior than you. So dare you question them? Dare you even bring up the Bible? They shoot you right down and make you look insufficient, right? Which in reality, they're the ones who look insufficient because they're sitting there defying what the Father created. And yeah, when it comes to the Bible, they hate it. And it's like holding up a cross to a vampire, if you want to put it that way. When you debate these evolutionists, you present creation with the Bible, and yeah, it's like again holding up a cross to a vampire. And what they do is they react. They don't no more talking intelligent. They start insulting you, start swearing at you, calling you every name in the book when it has nothing to do with anything, and they think they're winning the debate on top of it. Because what it is you're taking them out of their comfort zone. Everything they grew up to believe and all the time in school. So when you sit there, Kent, and when you bring this real facts to them, what it is that you're taking them away from their comfort zone. So now they feel violated. So now they have to acknowledge, oh, you know what? There might be a God. There might be a creator. You know, so now these people are scared.
Well, yeah, I've asked atheists quite often in my debates. I say, if you chose to believe the Bible was right and you chose to believe, hey, God's right, he made the world, would that change your life any? They get a shocked look on their face and say, man, that would change everything. See, if there's a God and he's going to judge you one day, you better be careful what you say and be careful what you do. But if there is no God and there's no final judgment, hey, go kill the neighbor if you want. You know, as long as you can get by and nobody finds it, go steal stuff. Nobody's going to find out. Why is stealing wrong? Why is killing your neighbor wrong? Is there a standard someplace? How do we measure this stuff? God said, thus saith the Lord. Oh, now that's a measurement we can go by. See, I tell people when you watch my video series and you start to say, wow, first you're going to say, man, the Bible is true. And then about a week later, it's going to hit you right in the head. Say, oh, no, the Bible's true. Oh, no, I better start doing what it says. Duh. And that's what our ministry is all about. drdino.com, DRDINO. Check it out.
And I wanted you to get into the origins of evolution, if you will. We'd start with Charles Darwin, Then the work was continued later with Dawson and Chardin, Jesuit priests and everything else, and how this came about. How did this theory of evolution infect the education system? How did it get so widespread? And if you look at history books in the American public schools, they used to say God created the heavens and the earth. And all of a sudden, evolution trickled into the textbooks. Then all of a sudden, started kicking the God stuff out. And now you got entire paragraphs, then entire chapters, now entire books promoting the evolution doctrine. So how did this all come about?
Well, it really started in the Garden of Eden. The devil came to Eve, maybe started before that when Satan fell from heaven because he wanted to be like God. You read Isaiah 14, Ezekiel 28. Lucifer said, I will ascend above the heavens. I will be like the Most High. He wants God's job, okay? But the job's not available. So he came down to the Garden of Eden. He said, Eve, if you eat off that tree, you can become like God. Of course, it's not true, and he's making a promise he can't fulfill. But that's really where the whole idea started, that man is progressing, improving. We started off like an amoeba, then slowly, over billions of years, we became an ape. And then slowly became a human. And someday we're going to sail around the universe and discover new life forms like Star Trek. You get to be God, knowing everything. That's really Satan's lie. And people have fallen for it by the millions, and they believe it. They think mankind is improving, progressing. Watch the evening news any night. We're not progressing, folks. We're getting dumber, and it's getting worse. It's falling apart. The Bible says we're going to enter a time of tribulation, and there are going to be people killing each other, wars and rumors of wars. I mean, just watch the news. This is only what they're telling us, too. I mean, it's happening all over the world. It's getting pretty bad. So give your heart to the Lord, get saved.
Amen. I want to kind of touch on that a little bit. You have like Elon Musk and all these heavy hitters as far as these big tech companies and these big political leaders and all these other, I guess, elitist, saying the transhuman phase will be coming around the bend, so to speak, and that it's going to bring in the AI narrative is going to be bringing in the new way of living and the new ways of hope and humanity, this dystopian, I guess, new age world. And they're saying it's going to even to introduce new gods. So it's kind of the same basic principle. They're trying to basically tell us that we come from pond scum and, like I said earlier, the cracks and the crevices of the earth, and then they say we're cavemen in caves who come back out, and then we're all of a sudden we're going to have this enlightenment, this enlightenment, narrative that's going to make us more a superior being, but we're going to be hooked into the Internet of Things, and we're going to be controlled, and that's not what God wanted in His design. We're supposed to be free in Christ, not be bound to the devices of the devil. So I just kind of wanted to touch that in there. See what you thought. I know that's where you're headed with it, because at the beginning of the broadcast we was talking about how, everybody, these school systems are, literally propaganda machines that are defragmenting and making we got a cognitive dissonance problem, and everybody believes what everybody tells them. They don't go researching on their own. They don't read their word. They don't read the scriptures like they should, and then they get tripped up. So then the devil swoops in and reaps havoc. And I think that's where we're at. So, and I agree with the war going on in the East. It's nothing but horrific. And my heart, I'm praying about it all. Mm-hmm.
Sad. It's all predicted. If you read the book of Zephaniah in the Bible, chapter 2, he said Gaza is going to be uninhabited. You're going to be a place for shepherds to watch their sheep. You watch. Probably in the next few months, maybe certainly in the next year or so, Gaza is going to be totally uninhabited. 2.1 million people, all going to be gone. What a mess. We're seeing prophecy fulfilled. And Zephaniah wrote that probably 500 years before Christ. So 2,500 years ago, he told us what would happen. Only God God is not locked in time. All of time, he sees at the same time. He's right now standing at your funeral. I mean, he knows it all. He knows it all. Doesn't mean he's controlling it, but knowing it is different than controlling. You can stand on the highway and watch an idiot driving and say, I know he's going to hit that bridge up there. And sure enough, I didn't make him hit the bridge. He did it himself. But I knew it happened because he's an idiot or he's drunk, So God knows what's going to happen. He has chosen to give us control of our life. You can do what you want with your life. If you want to ruin it, okay. Don't blame God. You did it. People make the dumbest choices, and sure enough, they mess up their life, and then they want to blame God. God, why did you let this happen? God's probably thinking, you want me to show you the videotape? You did this, not me, Anyway, so the devil's goal is to reduce humanity to zero. He wants to be God. And so there's Elon Musk and all these guys, they're just puppets on strings that he's pulling the strings. They think, oh, let's reduce the population to 500 million and we get to rule the world. We can have everything. It's always been that. That's what all theft is about. Your neighbor has something, you want it, you go steal it. Okay, that's theft. Well, some people see the world and say, man, I'll take it. I want the whole thing for me. This is what the devil is doing. And so he's used so many lies. My video number 4, my seminar series, I hate to keep referring to this, but I spent so many million hours putting this together. Video 4 is called Lies in the Textbooks, about all the lies that they use to get kids to believe this stupid theory. They're teaching the kids the baby growing in the mother has gills. Let's put that back up, brother. Embryology. This idea that the human embryo growing in the mother has gills was proven wrong in 1874, and it's still in the textbooks. Those aren't gill slits. They develop into bones in the ear and glands in the throat, but they teach this so they can justify abortion. They say, you're not killing a baby, you're killing a fish or an amphibian or a reptile or a mammal. They've got this stupid chart was proven wrong in 1874, but they're still teaching it in the textbooks. So I cover that 30 or 40 some of the lies in the textbooks. Purpose of them is to get the kids to believe in evolution. And it's working. It's working well for now.
Well, don't they sell evolution to children by the dinosaurs, the pretty little dinosaurs in the museums and the cartoons and everything? Is that how basically they come up with the dinosaur thing, the way they look and everything else to kind of commercialize it to sell it to children to accept the evolution doctrine?
Well, correct. My video number 3 is titled Dinosaurs in the Bible. They start off before the kids can even read. They're 3 years old, and they give them a book on dinosaurs. First sentence in the book will say something like, dinosaurs lived millions of years ago. That's how they get their time in there, millions of years. And by the time the kid can read, he thinks, oh, we know the earth is millions of years old, and we know dinosaurs lived millions of years ago. That's baloney. Dinosaurs always lived with man. God made everything at the same time. See, reptiles never stop growing, never. Before the flood came, when the people are living to be 900, reptiles that live to be 900 would get 60 feet long. Dinosaurs were big lizards that lived with Adam and Eve. And some may still be alive. I think man has killed off most of them. They called them dragons or some other name, but there could be a few still left. There's a lot of sightings like Loch Ness Monster, Lake Champlain Monster, and the Congo Swamp in Africa. People say there's still some small ones in there. So I don't know. I cover all that in video number 3, Dinosaurs in the Bible.
I think what you just mentioned, I think one of the tribes still feed it. There's a creature that comes out. I think it was a brontosaurus. I think that comes out of like a lake, and they supposedly the story is they feed it and to do sacrificial, give it, try to keep it at bay, so to speak. And it's like a mythical creature. It's like a lot of folklore. I think it's in Africa. And then another thing, I want to ask you this question. Like you just said, that there might be something. I do remember, I think it was in Wisconsin, I think in 1895, my memory serves me correct. I think it was 2 ranchers that owned property. I think they shot down a pterodactyl. Like, I think that's what they described it as a pterodactyl. I think it had a 90-foot wingspan, if I'm not mistaken. It's pretty good size, bird. But I think it was 1895, if I'm not mistaken. So I would have to agree there is creatures that we just don't see anymore, and they're dragons, whatnot. But where do you think there's hybridization? Do you think there was? I want to hear your take on this. Was there any kind of? You think there was manipulation from angelic powers that changed the dinosaurs and these dragons? Do you think they manipulate them in any shape or form? What's your take, Kent? I don't want to change gears here, but since we're on the dinosaur topic, I just kind of wanted to pick your brain and see how you feel about that.
I don't know how much power angels and demons have to do that kind of stuff. I don't know. I don't know. I don't think we can prove that scientifically. I think dinosaurs are simply big lizards that they just kept growing. Probably most of them went extinct after the flood. You notice if you look at the dates in the Bible, Before the flood, the people lived to be 900 years old. After the flood, Genesis 11, it drops off to 400, and then 200, and then 100. And today, hardly anybody makes it to 100. Something was different back here, and I cover in video number 2, why did they live so long? Why did they live to be 900, and why we don't live to be 900? But whatever changed at that flood changed not only for the humans to live shorter lives, it changed for the dinosaurs to live shorter lives. And some probably couldn't even reach maturity to where they could have babies. I mean, if you only live to be 5, you're not going to have any kids, right? So if dinosaurs died off before they could reach maturity to reproduce, well, the species would go extinct. So I think the dinosaurs died off from climate change and from man's hunting. You'd be a hero if you could kill a dragon. They would tell stories about you. You know, Beowulf slew the dragon and St. George slew the dragon. And I think the stuff, maybe the stories got stretched with the telling, but I think the basic idea is correct. Man lived with dinosaurs and killed most of them.
I've seen rocks. I've seen rocks with depictions, that there was men had some type of satellite, but some kind of saddle, and it just like riding a dinosaur, like they would ride horses. I've seen depictions, and I think it was on a hieroglyphic one time. I mean, there is depictions of that, of dinosaurs, and use them as tools, to carry stuff or whatever. They're basically using them like a horse. Can't tell what date. You don't never know. Carbon dating, I'm not a big fan of carbon dating. I don't know what your take is on that. I think there's a lot of manipulation. I think they're, like you said earlier, they deem something, if it's 25 years old, they'll say it's 2,500 years old.
I was just going to ask about that too. Good question.
Yeah. So I don't. What's your take on that? Because I know we kind of touched base on the petrified trees and whatnot, but I think they just guesstimate, Kent. I think they just literally they convince themselves that they're these high-end scientists and they know all this, book smarts. And it comes down to it, they're like, well, like I was saying earlier about the story that I knew somebody that planted a tree, and they're basing it off as a couple hundred-year-old tree, but it's nonsense. And I think they do the same thing with rocks, fossils, artifacts, whatever they find, and any artifact, arrowheads, all the above. But what's your take on that? They're just guessing. They have to be guessing, Kent. They have to be lying to themselves.
Before we get into carbon dating, which I'm certainly ready for, one more thought. We have in our science center he used to be alive, a little dead 3-horned lizard. 3-horned lizard. I don't know if you can see that or not in there, but come by our science center, Dinosaur Adventureland in Lenox, Alabama. If he lived to be 900 years old and grew to be 30 feet long, it'd be a triceratops. It's that simple. I don't know how the atheists don't get it. Now, as far as carbon dating, let me get to that one here. Carbon dating. On my seminar part 7 of my series, I cover all this. Carbon dating, is it reliable? Carbon dating. Well, if you walked into a room and you found a candle burning on a table, and I asked you the very simple question, when was it lit? How long has that thing been burning? You say, I don't know. Well, how do we find out? I'd like to know how long it's been burning. Okay, well, let's do some science. Let's measure the candle. So we measure the candle and we find out it is 7 inches tall. Can you tell me when it was lit? No. Let's do some more science. Let's measure how fast it's burning. So we get an Olympic stopwatch and we measure it to the nearest trizillionth of a second. We find out that candle is burning an inch an hour. Here's my 2 facts. It is now 7 inches tall. It is burning at 1 inch an hour. Question, when was it lit? You still can't tell me unless you make some assumptions. We're going to have to leave science now and go to imagination. How tall was it when it started? I don't know. Well, then you can't tell me how old. You can't tell me how long it's been burning. Was it 10 miles high or was it 7.5 inches high? You don't know. Has it always burned at the same rate? See, with carbon dating, radioactive carbon changes to regular carbon. And it takes 5,730 years for half of it to do that. So we know the rate of decay, and we know how much we can test how much is in the sample. Those 2 facts, like the candle, nobody questions that. How much was in it when it started? We don't know. Has it always burned at the same rate? We don't know. Has it been contaminated? We don't know. Carbon dating you can't prove in a honest court of law, it wouldn't hold up 5 seconds. It's just simply baloney. Did a program for 2 hours and drank a lot of water. Can you take a 2-minute break and you guys talk for a minute and I'll go potty?
Sure.
Sure.
Okay.
So yeah, there's a lot of questions involved, and that's the thing. These professors and all that, they don't want to be questioned, and this is a thing with science is right. Science is something you could question, and it's welcome to be questioned. People, science is something is encouraged for you to go out and demonstrate, for you to go out and observe for yourself. That's what it's encouraged. But when you got clowns on TV, when you got Bill Nye and all these other clowns on TV, and the education system says no. Don't question us. You believe what we say, and that's it. That's not science. Even the Bible, right? When you get into the Bible, right? God wants you to question these things, so you can see for yourself, to show yourself approved, right? Reproved, right? So when somebody comes out and says, no, we're the experts, shut your mouth. That's not science. It's called dictatorship. And that's exactly what they do in the schools. And when you go to the museums, they do these tours. And I don't know how many tours I've been on. And they had these, whole dinosaur set up there. And to say, I'm like, how do we know the dinosaur looked like that? They cut you down, and it's like over 2 bones they found, a couple fragments of bones. This is what the T-Rex looked like. And I'm not saying it didn't look like that, but they don't have proof that it did look like that. It could have been larger, it could have been small, And so, these people come up with these ideas of what the dinosaur looked like because, again, it was a big sell to the children. What you going to say, Brian?
Well, I was just going to say real quick, I've heard a lot of theories on this. I guess you can call it a conspiracy theory, but even the Smithsonian, I've heard a lot of manipulation with the ones that you see that are replicas in these museums and everything. I even heard that they even took the tibula and all these different sizes of these giant bones, the Nephilim bones, and they'll literally replicate them and just make some kind of like elaborate, whatever they deem it to be, what they think the reptile looked like. I've even heard that. It's a little bizarre, but I have heard that. And then what's even interesting too is obviously they can make. I mean, I'm not discrediting that there's no dinosaurs or dragons. I'm not saying that at all. I'm just saying that they can manipulate anything by making a cast or any kind of form of any kind of creature, and then just put up on display. But it's interesting. It's interesting. Yeah.
So welcome back, Kent.
Welcome back, Kent.
Thank you, guys. Go ahead.
So we just talked about dinosaurs and how they say, in other words, they took a bunch of fragments of bones to say this is what the T-Rex looked like. Now, we're not saying, we don't know if it did look like that, but, they based this stuff off of a couple of bones they find, fragments of bones, to say this is what this particular dinosaur looked like. Is this a scam again, just to sell this to kids?
I don't think it's worth arguing what they look like.
Yeah.
Let them make up their story. But when they lived, that's worth arguing.
Yeah.
If you'd never seen a Model T Ford, and you went to a bunch of junkyards and you found a piece of one here and a piece of one there, and you put them on, you could probably resurrect a Model T out of the pieces. I wouldn't argue that. So I don't care. They can find all the bones they want, put them together however they want. That's not worth arguing about. When they lived, that's worth arguing about. Jesus said the creation of Adam was the beginning. Matthew 19:4, Mark 10:6. Well, was that the beginning? Well, then the earth is not billions of years old. The Bible says nothing died until Adam sinned. Man brought death into the world. If evolution is true, death brought man into the world. Total opposite.
Yep. And now we see that too, that same pattern. Everything the world preaches is always direct mirror image of what God preaches. If God says that's 1, 2, 3, 4, they'll come out and say, no, it's 3, 2, 1. It's always mirror image opposite of what the Father preaches.
There is no evidence of any animal ever changing to a different kind of animal. And there's no evidence for it. Cows make baby cows every time. If you wish to believe and imagine it was different, okay, believe whatever you want. But it's not science. Science is what we can observe, study, and demonstrate and test. We observe cows make baby cows. They observe that all the time. Every farmer on the planet who raises cows counts on it happening. We just had one born a couple of days ago. 2 cows got together. Guess what came out? A baby cow. Wow. That's all that happens. So anything other than that is imagination. And I tell them, look, you're welcome to have your imagination. Believe anything you want. But quit calling it science and quit putting it in the textbook. It's not science. It's your religion. What we've got right now is a situation where every state Rhode Island, Kentucky, Alabama, where I'm at, has a tax-funded religion.
Mm-hmm.
It's unconstitutional.
Yeah, now one of your seminars I watched years ago, I actually took one of your slides, showed it to a lot of people. So, because you get this people all the time to come out and say, well, the Bible can't be true because how did Noah fit all those species, all the millions of species of animals and everything on the ark? And I tell them, it's like, no, the Bible doesn't say species, it says two of each kind. And I pointed out where I used one of your slides in one of your seminars.
Yeah, how many kinds of animals are there? Not species, but kinds. There are 379 different varieties of dogs. Okay. Noah didn't have to take all 300. Noah probably never saw a chihuahua in his life. He just took a pair of wild dogs, and they might have made into, over generations, wolves, coyotes, and dogs probably had a common ancestor that looked like a dog. They're the same kind. There's a website called baraminology.com. Baramin, B-A-R-I-M-I-N. Baramin, B-A-R-A-M-I-N. It's the Hebrew word for kind. So this baraminology website is how many kinds of animals would have to go on the ark? Obviously, fish don't have to go on. They got plenty of water outside. Insects don't have to go on because God said, bring the animals in on land in whose nostrils is the breath of life. Well, insects don't have nostrils. Insects can survive on floating log mats and floating dead carcasses for a few months during the flood, no problem. So their current estimate is about 8,000 kinds of animals had to go onto the ark. Alt DV. The Bible says if they bring forth after their kind, they're able to bring forth, they're the same kind. Okay, got it in here someplace. Species, never been a good definition of species. Let's see, what is a species? Well, let's see, it's a kind. Oh, okay. So what is a species? So anyway, I would encourage people the Bible says very clearly that God made everything to bring forth after their kind. That's all anybody's ever seen. If you wish to believe something other than that, okay, believe what you want, but that's not science. It's a religious belief.
Yeah, I just pulled up that website for you, baraminology.com. So you can see exactly everything Kent's talking about as well, depicted on the website here. Still there, Brian?
Yeah, I'm still here.
All right.
Just watching the screen there. I was looking what you had up there for a second.
Yeah, and I put the link in the chat room, guys, if you want to check it out. So yeah, there's a lot of questions, that when you get to evolution and creation and everything else, and again, all the lies that we've been brainwashed with in the schools and the colleges and everything else, it's hard to unlearn the lies. So I can understand for people out there who are tuning into this broadcast and like, what do you guys talk about? Evolution, science, and all that. It's a bitter pill to swallow because we all grew up with this, like I said, and it's when you get brainwashed or something, it takes a very long time to unlearn that and to learn the truth. And all you have to do is ask questions, challenge things, and you'll get the answers. And the same thing with the Bible. You could ask the questions, God's going to show you. You go, like I said earlier, when Kent was on away from the TV fair from here, if you question one of these evolutionists, they don't like that. They don't like to be questioned. They don't like you to oppose them in any which way. They become dictators. And like on our broadcast here, we say all the time, guys, you don't have to believe a word we say when we do our Bible studies as well. Don't take our word for it. Read it for yourself. A dictator is not going to tell you that. And that's what these People are. They're dictators. Neil deGrasse, Bill Nye, the science guy, and that dope Dave, whatever he calls himself. This guy Dave on YouTube there. Kent was on his debate with him and everything. And this guy's, they don't like to be questioned. They don't like to be questioned or, pulled out of their comfort zone. It's crazy. It's sickening.
Well, I just want to throw us in here real quick, Dan, is these things that we're discussing tonight are tactics to get us away from the scriptures alone in general. Like it's just to get us to detach us from that and then set up a new, like I mentioned earlier with the transhuman phases and all the new AI stuff, it's Google becomes the God. And all that knowledge, right? That it's not, there's going to be some decent, good knowledge. I mean, you can find good things in the Google and everything. You can find information, but on the back end, there's, we have a nefarious thing going on, right? So turn to your Bible, for answers. And I think that's what me and you, all of us on this panel would agree with. And I think that they're trying to literally go after our children to believe that we, come from some type of magical ape or whatever, magical bird or whatever it is, a siren, more, all these different things, right? So it's kind of scary where we're headed. I totally agree. It's kind of scary where we're headed. And when we detach from the scriptures and we stop reading the Bible, it becomes, we let other things fill the void up, and we get detached, and we'll start believing anything if we don't have any discernment. So I'm just that's what my take is on that. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and Ken, I know you got some slides coming up, but when you get a chance, could you also explain the Piltdown Man hoax as well?
Mm-hmm.
Well, nobody's ever seen a monkey or an ape or a baboon or a chimpanzee produce babies that aren't the same kind as the mom and dad are. Chimpanzees make baby chimpanzees every time. Every time. Now, if you wish to believe long ago and far away they could change to something else, well, then that's fine. Believe what you want, but that's not science. Science is what we can observe, study, test, and demonstrate. We don't observe chimpanzees turn to anything but chimpanzees. We don't see. That's why you can line up all the skulls you want and line up all the bones you want. The fact that there are similarities between the chimpanzee and the ape and the bonobo and the human, well, that's proof they got a common designer. There are similarities between Chevy trucks and Ford cars. They both have round wheels. Wow. What does that prove? They're related? No. That's a good design that works. Round wheels are better than square wheels. And so God made 2 bones in the wrist of many of the different animals. The bat has 2 bones in his wing so he can twist it around and maneuver to fly. The fish has 2 bones in his flipper so he can swim and maneuver to swim. We got 2 bones in our wrist so we can move. I think it's pretty handy, all the stuff your hand can do. That doesn't prove we're related. It proves that it's a good design. It works. Round tires are the best design for vehicles, I think.
Yeah, it's like try to reinvent the wheel, these people. And that's just common sense, and that's what Kent's using, just common sense and real science, and they can't cope with it. They can't, and so I want to ask you too, that guy, Professor Dave, like, for some reason I came upon him, and because I researched some of your videos, your debates, and this guy just rubs me the wrong way. He's just cocky, arrogant, and when you want to debate with him, he kept cutting you off. When you were making good points and all that, they kept cutting you off. It was 3 against 1 and all that. So explain, when you're in these debates with these people, explain the cowardness of these people. Just like when they get derailed in their own craft there.
Well, when I do a debate, I ask that it be one topic at a time. I'll debate every atheist in the world, any of them. Tell them, give me a call, 855-BIG-DINO. I'm extension 3. Our tech guy schedules stuff. He's extension 4. Secretary's extension 1. 855-BIG-DINO, like a big dinosaur. Call us. We'll answer the phone. I say, guys, one topic at a time. You go first. Give the best evidence for evolution. Why on earth would you believe these family trees? I'll show you one here. I'll ask them. I'll say, do you believe humans and birds have a common ancestor? Oh, yeah. And reptiles and ladybugs. Oh, and tree. Don't forget the trees. And worms. Yep. This is the stuff they're teaching our kids. Do you believe this? Yeah. What's your best evidence for that? So I let them go first, one topic at a time, no cursing or profanity, and equal time for each side. It can be 10 against 1, 500 against 1. I don't care. If they take 10 minutes, I get 10 minutes. Call every evolutionist in your state or anywhere. Say, look, would you debate Kent Hovind? When they say no, and they will, send that to Joseph. Joseph, start a list, atheists who refuse to debate. And we'll keep it posted on our channel and keep adding to it. These are the atheists who refuse to debate and defend their religion. Phrase it like that. It's nothing but a religion, and they're welcome to it, but it's not science.
Absolutely. So, again, the Piltdown Man, you want to explain the whole situation, how it was an elaborate hoax to push us in the mainstream?
Like I said, nobody's ever seen an ape produce a non-ape. You can put bones together. What they did for a lot of these is they mix human bones and ape bones together and say, wow, look, it's changing. Why don't animals? First, I tell them, guys, no fossils count as evidence for anything for evolution. If you find a bone in the dirt, all you really know is it died. You don't know it had any children, do you? How could you prove those bones had any children? How could you prove they had children that lived? How could you prove they had children that lived that were different? You can't prove any of that. And if these bones were able to produce a baby that was different than themselves, who would that baby marry? Don't you have to get two in the same place at the same time of the opposite sex, and they got to find each other and be interested? All the changes we've observed are negative, downhill. Mutations are always harmful, fatal, or neutral. Nobody's ever seen a good one. You think you got one? Show it to me. I want to see it.
Yeah, and it's mind-boggling, like I said. So, yeah, and they use these elaborate hoaxes and all that to push a lie, literally. And, this is a Jesuit operation, the secret societies and all that, to do, again, to dumb down the education system. And if you look at American history, too, the Bible is taught in public schools. You had the old Diluted Satan Act, I think it was 1642 or something. The old Diluted Satan Act to teach the Bible in America. He had to, so people wouldn't be deceived by the Dark Ages. So these secret societies, they want to get God out of this country, and what's the first thing they do is attack the public schools. Because, that's where they taught the Bible too. And all of a sudden, the texts, all of a sudden, less Bible, more evolution. And now kids don't know what to think. And it's sickening, And again, we mentioned earlier, the churches should be on the front lines of these things. The churches should be every Sunday or whatever you go to church to say, hey, listen, guys, watch what your kids are learning, go into the schools and take them out of the classes. And I think you quoted too is a federal law, chapter 25, I believe it is, that you're allowed to exempt your child from a school. From a certain class and curriculum?
Well, there's always been groups like the Jesuits and others who want to, take over the world, pinky in the brain kind of stuff. And they don't understand. Maybe they do, but people don't understand. They are motivated by Satan and his goal. They're puppets for Satan. He tells them, boy, you need to kill off most of the people and you get to inherit the world. You get to be God. Eve, if you do what I say, you can become like God. And there's a lot of various cults and different religions involved in this propaganda machine that they've developed. But the bottom line is, the Bible is correct. God made everything in 6 days. That's the only way it works. I mean, he made the plants on day 3. He made the sun on day 4. That proves the days are normal days. He made the birds to pollinate the plants and insects on day 5. Those days are normal days. I mean, if he made the plants but no birds and insects to pollinate them, how would they survive for millions of years? They'd all die. The sequence of the creation is critical. Read Genesis 1 and 2 and say, man, this is perfect. It has to be this way. And when he got all done, God looked at it and said, it's very good. Very good. Satan had not fallen by the end of day 7. Satan probably fell from heaven 100 years after the creation. All we know is for the dates to work on, Adam was 130 when Seth was born. We don't know how old they were when Cain and Abel were born. Let's just assume Cain and Abel are in their 20s when they got, killed him, and Cain killed Abel. Pick a number, 20s. Well, Adam and Eve might have been in the garden for 100 years before they got kicked out from sinning. So Satan could have been in heaven with everything fine for 100 years. And then Satan said, they should be worshiping me. Whoa, I'm handsome. I'm good looking, I'm strong, I'm smart. They should worship me. And he fell from heaven, and then he made Eve fall, tricked her. Adam looked at what Eve did and said, oh, honey, if I don't eat of this tree, I got to become sin to save you. Just like Jesus became sin to save us. We're the bride of Christ. There's a great analogy there. So the crazy New World Order folks, the one world government folks, they want to control the world. And this evolution theory is critical because the guys who started this country, 1776, they said, we hold these truths to be self-evident. All men are created equal. They're endowed by their creator with certain rights, life, liberty, pursuit of happiness. Where do rights come from? God. If there's no God, if evolution is true, where do rights come from? They can't answer that. Rights come from whoever's got the biggest weapon. Right?
Yep.
Yeah. Might makes right if evolution is true. But see, if the Bible is true, we hold these truths to be self-evident. All men are created equal. They're endowed by their creator with certain rights. That's why this evolution creation argument and debate that I've been involved in now full-time for 33 years, I think it's essential. This is the center of the battlefield right here.
Yep.
Creation versus evolution.
And a lot of people think it's no big deal, but if you think about it, what does it do to children? It just changes the mindsets, because our job as parents, I'm a father myself, so our job is to teach our children in the Lord. So now our children go off to public schools and all that, they get indoctrinated in this. Now they're starting to question the Bible, because now they're like, all right, my school's telling me this and that, and totally opposite what the Bible says. Now it destroys a child's faith. And it starts, it starts a whirlwind after that. And that's why this is an anathema, this whole evolution doctrine. It's not just, not a big deal. It is a big deal, very big deal, because evolution is the base of what, Adolf Hitler and everything, what they thought with natural selection and everything. This is a very evil system. And even to this day, from day one, it's a very evil system. Again, like we said, a million times in the program here tonight, it's to dumb down society and take God out of the equation. That's the whole thing. And to hide the creator in general, to hide the creator, that, we come from a rock, some stupid stuff like that. And, and the monkey so, like, I always said the same thing when, I didn't know any better. But when I was told that we evolved from monkeys and all that, I'm like thinking, all right, where's the middle transitions? Why aren't there all monkeys humans by now? If there's been millions of years, how come all monkeys are not humans now? Why are there still monkeys walking on the earth? Makes no sense. And when you ask these questions, it's like, common sense. I don't need a PhD or a DR in front of my name to ask these questions, and they're legit questions. And of course they won't answer. They'll go, "Oh, this is a science, and that's it. Shut your mouth. You don't have to worry about it." And just believe what we say. That's not science. Yes, science is something you could observe and demonstrate, as we said several times.
Well, they'll say the monkeys was here before us. They just come up with some, just lame excuse to keep dumbing down everybody, right? It's absurdity. Like, it's insane town. This has been going on for a lot longer than all of us been alive. This has been going on for probably centuries, as far as, like the conditioning to this point, to this time and day, right? And to getting to this point, 2023, this generation, right? There's a nefarious thing going on, and it's like, speaking of the children, they're so impressionable. They're so impressionable between 3 and, when they're learning everything, 3 to 10. I'm just throwing out a number there because I'm a father myself. So, and what you teach them, it makes, let's just get into the science of it. Neuron pathways, their brain legitimately latches on to these memories and retaining it. And it plants, let's just face it, like planting seeds. And if you plant the wrong seed, you get a bad harvest. If you plant good seeds, you get a good harvest. And I think that's what's happening through all the, predictive programming, the subliminal messaging. We mentioned all kinds of, TV hosts and everything, building all these characters in the past. And you keep inundating it and putting it in their face 24/7, right? It's just all the time. You watch rerun after rerun after rerun, and all these different geographic, or not geo, what was the Discovery Channel, all these different things. They have all the, watching a tiger, watching a lion, and saying, "Hey, we come from, they was here before we was," or whatever. Watch them run. And it's just, it makes us dumb. So it just, and we become incompetent. And I could go on, and I could really go down a rabbit hole, but give the floor back to Kent there. Mm-hmm.
Well, I wish we had thousands more people involved in this battle. It's a war against a crazy religion called evolution, which is the foundation. I just pulled up my slides on Nazi Germany and Hitler. Why did Hitler do what he did? Hitler thought the Germans were the superior race. He said, if you want these inferior people, we'll send them to you on luxury ships. This is Hitler's book, Mein Kampf. No more than nature desires the mating of a weaker with stronger individuals, even less does she desire the blending of a higher with a lower race. Who's the lower race, Adolf? Here's Hitler's hit list right here. Hitler said the Nordic, blonde-haired, blue-eyed are close to pure Aryan. The German, brown-haired, blue-eyed, or less desirable brown-eyed, are predominantly Aryan. The Mediterraneans are slightly Aryan. The Slavic are half Aryan, half ape. The Orientals are slightly ape. The blacks are mostly ape. And the Jews are close to pure ape. Well, why did he kill the Jews? To improve humanity. He thought he was giving the superior race the right to have the whole planet. Why does the lion kill the zebra? He's bigger and better and stronger and faster or whatever, So when Jesse Owens, a black American athlete, won the gold medals in the Olympics, President Roosevelt didn't invite him to shake his hand because he's black. There was people. There are still people today who think skin color makes you superior or inferior. That is so stupid, so stupid. But it goes back to the teaching of evolution. Hitler was a strong believer in evolution. Read his book, Mein Kampf. He'll tell you he believed in evolution. He's just trying to speed up the process. Hey, the superiors are supposed to kill off the inferiors. Well, let's just speed it up a little bit. That's all. Same thing.
Well, these tactics that you're talking about with the Nazis, the tactics are going on right now. We kind of elaborated on that earlier, going on over in the East right now. Mm-hmm. They're even saying that these people are inferior. Like they need to get back to the society where it's, more, what's the term? It just left me, but more, I lost the terminology, but anyways, they're the more sophisticated. That's the term. More, I guess whatever's going on over in the other country is bizarre. Yeah, I don't know. There's a lot of fakery going on. It's upside down. Nobody can really get the truth on it.
Well, we run into a lot of those people, that even the black Hebrews movement, people in the KKK, they think because they're white or they're black Hebrews or whatever the case, that they're automatically going to heaven because of their skin color and all that, and everybody else is inferior to them. And when Jesus says neither Jew or Greek, rich or poor, you're all equal, plain and simple. And nobody gets into heaven. I don't care who you are. You don't get into heaven regardless of your bloodline, your color. You do not get into heaven unless you believe in Jesus Christ, plain and simple. He's the only way to heaven, not because you're generations or whatever the case. So we deal with those people all the time, and they think they're superior than anybody else. It's sickening. So you get the same thing on all sides, and when you just go to the scriptures, says Jesus says, "I am the only way." It's offered to anybody that would come to him.
Well, I hate to interrupt you, Dan, but I'm going to try to pick Dan or Kent's brain here.
Oh yeah.
Speaking of races and all that and tribes. So there's a big evidence around here, especially in the Ohio Valley, especially where I'm at. The Nubian, we're talking about Nubian people. So we're talking about ancient Egypt. I see all kinds of evidence about, different tribes. I think it's the Moors, if I'm pronouncing it correctly. Some of them I think they spoke Aramaic. The skin color of a Nubian and the Moors was, brown skin, black skin, light brown skin, red skin. And that would fit. They even, from what I've read, they've even, as far as migrated in different states, come out from what I've looked at, it's from Maine, and they went down the East Coast all the way down past Rhode Island. And I have even in Kentucky, I have some big words as far as, Indian culture. Eskapakikiki means kintake. So it's derived. So obviously it's Kentucky, kintake. But if you look at that and you cross-reference it when you go back to Greek, in old ancient Greek, it means konvoki, and then it means Nubian warrior. So there's all this evidence. So I think there's just this, it's just, there's so many different things and it's multifaceted. And what we're talking about here with Hitler and everything and the blue-eyed, blonde-haired, I think they was, we know the story of all that, but it gets really bizarre when they're looking at this bloodline and this righteousness through the bloodline, and they're the superior authority, and there's no sense. No human should be just murdered, or blood shouldn't be shedded like it is in this day. I'm just going to kind of touch base on. I'm not going to say much because of YouTube here, but 2023, what's going on in the East? Their bloodshed should not be going on. Period. It's insanity. But here we are, and it's the brainwashing. There's a lot of brainwashing going on, and getting back onto the evolution. And when they're saying there's an evolution of a man that can get to a superior human-like ability, like, oh, you have blonde hair, blue eye, your intellect is high, you can carry on a huge, you can speak 2 or 3, 4 or 5 different languages fluently. You have an IQ that's off the Richter scale, and I think everybody has a part. God has a purpose for each individual that comes in through the matrix, the mother's womb, onto this lovely earth. And everybody has a purpose. And I think it goes along with what we're talking about. When you tell the child that we come from pond scum or a monkey, it causes them to think that we have less purpose. that there's not a creator like a God Almighty. We come from, some type of animal, a gorilla, and it makes it the child, like I say all the time, defragment, and they're thinking, well, I guess I'm not that special. Everybody's special, and that whole bloodline thing, and the Hitler was doing some nefarious things there. But I didn't mean to go on a big tangent, take up your time, Kent. But that's kind of my standpoint on all that.
Well, see, if man is made in God's image, we are valuable. See, animals only have, plants only have a body. There's something different between animals and plants. Animals have something more than plants. They have a body and a consciousness of life. And then man has a body, a consciousness of life, and a consciousness of God. We have a body, soul, and spirit. And the Bible says we've all sinned and broken God's laws, so we're guilty. So God has to punish us. That's why Jesus died on the cross, to take our punishment for us. And if we'll accept his death on the cross, we can become one of God's children. You can get born into God's family, get born again by receiving Christ. I did that 55 years ago. Said, Lord, I'm a sinner. I want you to forgive me and save me. And he said, whosoever shall call upon the name of the Lord shall be saved. See, people need to realize there are laws that God made. Thou shalt not steal. Don't steal. Have you ever lied or stolen anything? Well, then you're guilty of breaking God's laws. So I ask people all the time this simple question: if you died today, where would you go? Smoking or non-smoking? You might want to think about it, because you're going to be dead for a long time. All you get's a little bitty dash between two dates. The first date for your tombstone is already figured out. You already know what the first date is, don't you?
Yeah,
you don't know what the last could be. What if the last number on your tombstone is 2023? Where would you go? And if you are saved, I ask people the question, what on earth are you doing, for heaven's sake? What are you doing? You can get my videos, my seminars, my debates. I got done all kinds of stuff. Just call 855-BIG-DINO, extension 1, or go to drdino.com. Our YouTube channel, they took us down on Kent Hovind Official. It's now Genesis Baptist Church. You can watch a lot of our stuff on there. Please come down and visit us at Dinosaur Adventureland. It's free. We've had visitors from 74 countries now. Come on down. Can't beat it. Love to have you guys. All right, that's long enough, brother. I started at 5:30 on a different program, so I'm about done. Come down and visit Dinosaur Adventureland, would you?
Absolutely, and I appreciate your time, Ken. And I know you're a busy man, Ken. So God bless you, brother.
All right, thank you so much, guys.
Yep, take care, guys.
Yeah, thank you, Kent. Have a blessed day.
All right, so hang on, let me fix that screen on my top here. Yeah, so that was pretty good, and just wanted to get everybody out there like back to the beginning, the Genesis, to show that the evolution poses a major danger to our society. It's very dangerous because of the mindset that people have that follow and preach evolution. These people are evil people. They really are. So, and they're so crude, and go watch debates and all that stuff. Go watch these evolutionists out there that do this all the time. And these people are just crude people. They really are, and they don't care about nobody or nothing. So yeah, go ahead, Brian. So let me fix the screen while you're talking here.
Yeah, go ahead and fix that screen. It was really cool having Ken on. Yeah, well, we had him on for an hour and a half. Yeah. I think. Matter of fact, time is flying by. But I had to go on a tangent. I think I'm gonna go back on it again, Dan.
Go for it.
This whole thing that's going on, I don't want to change gears too much, but where do you think this stuff comes from with like this evolution standpoint? When there is a man that takes him upon himself, in his brain, he thinks that he is of a superior race based off his skin color, based off his intellect. And where do you think that knowledge comes from? So you think the scientific community, alchemy, does he just show up out of the woods and say, I'm the great and powerful Oz, right? I'm kind of being sarcastic here with me and David Carrico did a Wizard of Oz. We tied that all in with Atlantis Rising and doing some decoding there. But what makes a man wake up one day and say, I'm going to deceive the whole society I'm going to tell everybody you came from worms, you came from tree bark, you came from the alloy from the metal rim on the Chevy Ford. You know, I know Kent kept talking about a Chevy Ford. I about made a wise crack. I was like, in Kentucky, we take both the vehicles and we make it into a new model. We just don't have the type of logo to put on it, and it's like a Chevy / hybrid Ford. We've been doing that for a long time. Or we'll build houses out of them. That's no joke, folks. Kentucky, that's how we roll. We build houses, and we're very engineerative, I guess, if you want to, you know, when you come down in the sticks, you take anything you can come up with to make a roof. And I know this for a fact. I know I'm kind of laughing a little bit, but I'm not trying to be cracking up too much. But that does happen in Kentucky. But getting back, I don't want to go on a rant here. But what does a man think that when he thinks that he has this like a superior authority, like, you know, like we got Mr. Cloud Schwab, right? You can't even understand what he says. So does he think I can listen to him, like, and be able to understand? You know, it's almost sound like something off. It's like a mad scientist or something off a film. It makes no sense. So he's if I can't understand him, he deems me, inferior. That's what they do. Like, they have convinced themselves so much that and that's like the people that you was talking and calling out that really disrespected Kent on a conversation piece. I've seen that you showed that there during the program. Hear a man out, regardless. I know we all have different views on certain things, and I know that I like to hear people out. I'm not going to just, oh yeah, I know everything, and disrespect somebody or cut somebody off, and then go down that. There's no reason for conflict. Look what's going on in other countries. This country was, there was some good people that built this country. There was some evil, sinister ones too in the past, but there was people that had good biblical standards. When they a lot of people that did the Declaration of Independence had good biblical standards, and now we are off the scales, and we believe we come from a fish, a brim or a bass, brim, like Kent was talking about gills in the womb. Well, folks, there's a big possibility that you might be seeing that pop up here soon. I'm not trying to, I wasn't mocking anything that was discussed previous in the broadcast here, but the way things are going, the way they're splicing DNA and doing this hybridization stuff, I mean, my goodness, what kind of ignorant abomination is going to pop out one of these days, right? I mean, I guess it's just baffling me, Dan. Like, seriously, we're having real talk here. Like I say, Dan, we meet in a public place, right? We tell everybody, Dan Bidondi has met me in Kentucky. We're all going to be at this specific area. Here's the longitude, latitude. Here's the mile, GPS coordinates, all this stuff. Hey, have a good day. We'll be all there and bow before us because we have all knowledge. That's exactly what these people have done. They have manipulated the minds of children, men and women, and they've caused everybody to go astray. And I agree as far as the young Earth. I know that Kent was talking about 6,000 years. I've always kind of gave a little bit more leadway. I'm not discrediting anything he was saying. The man's got years of his craft and years of research, but I kind of swing with about 7,000 to 10, maybe roughly, but that's just based off my own research. But, I will never, Dan, we can't be disrespecting people.
Yeah,
but
and I want to point that out too, where you mentioned that. So people, question, like, because he was demonstrating the globe Earth and all that. So I understand, like, myself, okay, like I said in the chat room, I don't know if everybody heard me, seen the message. Just short years ago, I believed in the globe Earth. You know what I mean? So we can't, we can't be on the same page with everything, with everybody. So the guests we have on, like David, with the Jesus Freak, right? He believes the Mandela effect can affect the Bible. We don't, you know what I mean? But that's all right, you know what I mean? And we're not going to see eye to eye 100% with every guest we have or people we associate with, And the thing is, too, it took years for me, that seed to grow in my head about biblical cosmology. So, yes, Kent doesn't support biblical cosmology, but you know what? That's his deal with God, you know what I'm saying? But the thing is, at least the guy's out there preaching creation with the Bible says, you know what I mean? So he's been, for 30 plus years doing this work for the Lord like that. So, God bless him and everything. So, because a lot of people say, oh, you should ask him about flat earth. And I already know his stance on that. And I didn't want to get into that discussion because we're here to, disprove evolution and everything else. So that was the main message of the show. And we're not done yet, guys, because I got we're going to get into the spiritual warfare stuff of this now and all that stuff. So I sorry to cut you off, Brian.
No, it's good. I was going on one of my tangents, but real quick, I didn't get an answer. I want to kind of ask you a question. I was going to ask Kent, but he was talking about the layers, right? He was talking about the layers. I was going to ask him if he's ever come across the mud flood theory.
Oh yeah,
and that could be even at that. Just think about that. These big walls of mud coming. That still could fit if you think about it. And there's animals getting devoured, right? There's all these different creatures. I mean, people getting devoured, and they're in layers, right? And then you look down, and obviously you have cats and dogs. The anatomy of cats and dogs that are way down in the ground, and they're supposedly carbon dating them and saying, hey, they're 2,000 years, and there's a cat up here it's 5 years old. You know what I mean? So, and they're all looking the exact same anatomy. So that could even be, you got to factor that in. That can still be a possibility, So the whole mud flood theory, go check it out. I know we did a thing with David Carrico with mud fossils and mud floods. Go check that out. Clear as Mud broadcast on the FOJC Rumble. But there's a lot of questions. I'm open-minded to hear anybody out, and I'm thankful. I'm thankful for the time that Kent provided for us tonight and him coming on here. I didn't get a chance to really thank him. But yeah, if he's listening still, thanks for your time and coming on here. It was good. It's good to meet him. But yeah, Dan, I mean, like I said, I didn't mean to go a big tangent, but there's people. This world is so messed up. I don't understand how, this whole Darwinism would have been easy to do. Just think about 300 years ago. Just think of if we time traveled, right? Me and you was able to go back in our DeLorean, our flux capacitor. If me and you could both fit in it. I don't even know the DeLorean, man. I mean, we could barely fit in John Hall's car. But, you know what I mean? So we go back in time, right? And we have all this knowledge that's in our skull. We go around and we start dictating to everybody, and they'll be like, oh my goodness, did you see the guy that can bench press 1,000 pounds? Did you see that guy that has a cane and those glasses on? Man, he's kind of scaring me looking, he's kind of scaring me a little bit, but he's speaking all kinds of stuff. He's talking about smartphones. He's got a smartphone in his pocket. What is he talking about? And they would literally deem us of a godlike status, right? We'd have all this knowledge, and that's what they done. This Darwinism evolution aspect. I'm not saying they went back in time. They might have went, but that's another rabbit hole. But anyways, I'm still on the fence about the time travel stuff, but they would have been able to declare literally educational, they would extracted everything from them and say, all the stuff that you ever known is a lie. Here's my knowledge. And they would have been easily to be able to conquer. And then that's where we got the remnants of it today. Where 400 billion years ago, the two little atoms crushed together and we was able to make man and woman. It's just bizarro world. I mean, for real, Dan.
It is.
Am I wrong? Am I wrong, Dan? Could we go back and say it's the Dan Bidondi show in 1760? We would have had if we kept on retaining all of our knowledge, we'd have been able to dominate the land. And man, it's crazy, dude. I mean, it's just a crazy world we live in.
It is.
But anyways, but go ahead.
Now,
I
I want to take a second here. We got more, guys, so stay tuned. We're going to get to the spiritual warfare part, and we're going to get into the depths of the people who actually pushed evolution in the mainstream. So, Kent, he was having a hard time hearing us because his producer, I was texting him, he said the system they got, because they use it for the church and also the broadcast, so he can't hear that well because of the backfeed and everything, so he was having a real hard time hearing us. So anyway, before we get going further, I just want to take a minute for Kathleen Wynn here. She's got these products that I was supposed to bring them in. I forgot to do that, but she's got these pain creams and all this organic stuff. We promoted a couple weeks ago as well on the show. But all these homemade natural things that they got her and her daughter that they're selling, and we got that's what this email address is up here, the Natural Healing Products. So they got all kinds of pain creams, and I just got this one today, and I just got out of the gym. So I'm a power lifter. So this morning I trained hard. I mean, really hard. So I come home, my joints are hurting, my muscles are sore because I went hard this morning. So so I woke up, I'm like just sore and buzzing, you know what I mean? So this came in the mail literally today, and I put this on within like 3 minutes, the pain's gone. And on the joints and everything else, and going completely. And so this stuff really works, and I wouldn't be promoting anything like this unless I knew for sure. And she sent me a bunch of these products as well, and she's got all kinds of these healing things and everything else, and bath salts. Her and the daughter make the stuff homemade. There's no bad chemicals in it. It's all natural ingredients, salts and creams, moisturizers, all that stuff. Hops, pain buster salve, face and neck skin balancing serum, pain ease away tea. She's got the teas there. It's like real organic tea. Awesome stuff. Sweet sleep tea helps you sleep, which I really need that half the time. And
Dan never
Kiss
sleeps.
Frank.
Dan never sleeps.
Yeah. Face cream, tummy tamer tea, tames your tummy. And she also sends these like little what are they called? Those
The
ginger chews.
Yeah, ginger. Yeah.
Yeah, they're good.
Ginger.
You chew it, it's ginger, and it helps your stomach if you get upset stomach or anything like that. But she's got all these creams and bath salts and all that. So, guys, if you want information, she's on now right there. So if you want information, all that, email her right there. It's WY. I'll put it in the chat room. WYNNKW. I'll just put it in the chat room. It's too much to talk. I can barely see it from the screen here. So.
Well, I just want to throw us out here. We got 144 watching, 144 people watching.
Yeah.
And everybody go there and buy one thing.
Yep.
Just make it so hard for her that she's got so much business that she'll be booked up for months.
Yeah, and her and the daughter that they just started this business, and they got a talent for the stuff.
Help her out.
Yeah, please help her out. And it's not expensive, and it works. I'm telling you, it really works. I mean, I tested half the stuff already. Real good stuff, all organic, no chemicals, no nothing like that. And I gotta watch what I say because of YouTube. But yeah.
Well, I'm totally down. I 100% agree with you, Dan.
Yep.
Totally support her products. So go check all that out, and help a daughter and her mother out, especially in these days and times. And I rather go for a mom and pop family business instead of giving my money to a big corporation that I don't trust what goes in it. So yeah. I'm 100% behind you on this, Dan. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so guys, email her. She'll send you the catalog. She's got all the stuff here. She'll send you all the information. Just send her an email and tell her you're interested in what she has. She'll send you the list of everything and what it does, the ingredients involved and everything else. And she discloses everything. So just email her if you're just interested. And if you want to buy, email as well. And so they got a PayPal and all that stuff. Speaking of that, guys, want to promote this as well. If you want to support this broadcast here and this ministry, we got a PayPal, a Venmo, a CashApp, and this donation page we just put in the chat room here. So, and it's also in the description. So those watching on Rumble as well, sometimes the links don't work in the chat room. So we do got the link in the description of the video. So if you want to donate and whatever, which way you want to use, go for it. And all the money goes into this operation, pays for the streaming service, the equipment, all the stuff. If more content and better visuals and everything else. So I appreciate that. And the best thing you can do is pray for us. That's number one. And sorry to sound redundant, but yeah, it's prayers are the number one thing, plain and simple.
You're being redundant, Dan? I don't know if you're being redundant. I probably repeat myself 10,000 times on here. Dan just lets me ramble on for like 10-minute rants. I get on these big tangents, and man, I just get so compassionate. I get really compassionate about stuff, man. I get really adamant about things. It just really, But anyways, I'll give the floor back to you. I don't want to go on another rant, but I just can't. I don't know, man. This whole topic, like, it just baffles the mind. And then, real quick, I sent you 2 files. I sent you 2 links in your messenger for them to be able to pull off on a nanotech, on a nanoscale, and microorganisms, and to molecularly change everything and try to change it on a molecular scale and be able to change stuff.
Yeah.
In a scalar energy wave and all these different things you can go down a big rabbit hole with. This stuff is getting kind of scary, folks.
The chimeras and everything.
Yeah, the chimeras. I sent you two links.
Chimeras.
So it's a really dark rabbit hole to go down, but
Let's do it.
they're not. Well, okay. Well, let's do it then. Let's do this. Yeah.
First
I
off,
used
you
to do
want to
them
hold on 1 minute. We'll get to that because that would actually go
Yeah.
along with what we're talking about because of the time, you know what I mean, and the chronological order. So let's get into, first of all, let's go back. Where did evolution come from? So we're going to get into it I'm going to try to be brief on a lot of stuff because we could probably do a whole show on these guys alone. So anyway, the father of evolution is known as Charles Darwin, right? So Darwin, he got this information from his grandfather. His grandfather studied the stuff, and Charles Darwin took an interest in that. And he went out, I forgot the name of the island. He studied finches, the bird finches, on this island for like 30 years. And he noticed the beaks had a slight change to them. Now, that's not evolution. Animals and we all adapt to our atmospheric climate. That's why when you have Chinese people, right? And I'm not bashing nobody at all. They got a little squint to the eyes, and black folks from Africa, they're dark. Now, if you actually look at the atmospheric climate of where the people come from, right? They adapt to their environment. So if you're around a hot, constant hot surface for generation after generation for generation, right? Your skin, your body's going to adjust to that. It's going to adapt. That's not evolution. It's adapting to that. So now when you people in a cold climate, of course they're going to have thicker skin and all that stuff, probably grow more hair than normal people to adapt to the cold. And people less hair, whatever the case, to adapt to the heat. And they're going to have darker skin and everything. So anyway, Charles Darwin, he studied these finches on the island for many years. And he noticed, again, a slight change in the beaks there, as you can see here. And, yeah, and the thing is, for 30 years, when he first went to this island to study them, right, they were finches, right? 30 years later, they're still finches. Guess what? It's been over 100 years after now. Guess what? If you go to those islands, guess what they are? They're still finches. They don't evolve into nothing. You know what I mean? So there's no proof of anything evolving to anything. Again, because where's the middle transitions? You know what I mean? So, and again, evolutionists could never answer that. They'll just laugh at you, So anyway, this guy, Charles Darwin, and him and his family, his brother, I think his two brothers, his father and his grandfather, they happen to be Freemasons. Yeah, probably not a coincidence. But Charles Darwin himself did say this, right? In his defense, he did say, out of all, and he called it a theory. Now, if you notice, right, everything in science, right, if you use the word theory, it's a guess. It's like, how do you put it? A theory is like, it's not a fact yet. It could be a fact and it can't be a fact, So it's a theory. But when it comes to evolution, for some reason, the word theory becomes a fact. I don't know how they do this. Anything else, the theory is just a theory, but when it comes to evolution, it's a fact. How does that work out for you? It doesn't. So Charles Darwin himself did say, unless you could demonstrate this in the lab and observe it, that's the definition of science, it's just a theory. That's all it is. So it wasn't Charles Darwin who necessarily pushed it. Now, he created these books, though. He wrote these books and everything about this, the origins of man and all that, the books he created and all that. So it was later on, after him, when he passed away, a man came along, he was a British paleontologist, Charles Dawson. Now, Charles Dawson picked up the work, because at the time with Charles Darwin, the scientific community wanted nothing to do with it. The education system thought it was a big joke. Yeah, it's just a theory. We're not going to get involved with it. Yeah, it's, just leave it at that. So it was Charles Dawson and this guy here, Pierre Teilhard de Chardin. He was a Jesuit priest, this man here. So what they did was, this French Jesuit priest, scientist, paleontologist, theologian, philosopher, and teacher, right? So they spearheaded, and for a while he got excommunicated from the church. And then they welcomed them back with, open arms, whatever the case. But they pushed this doctrine of evolution. Literally, they took the evolution to a new step. How did they do this? So they not only picked up Darwin's work, but they created this elaborate hoax. Now, mind you, we do spiritual warfare all the time, exposing secret societies. And I don't need to tell you guys that listen to the show how evil and sinister the Jesuits are. And I'm not talking about the regular people who go to Jesuit churches. I'm talking about the Jesuit church itself. They're the strong arm, the political arm for the Catholic Church.
Dan, I don't want to interrupt you, but I have to, because I got to bring this back to your remembrance. Remember when you came and visited down in Kentucky? Remember where Brother Hall took you? I wanted you to kind of kind of get your gears turning, man. Me and you seen that firsthand.
Yep.
I'm just kind of, if you
Oh
want
yeah, we went to a Jesuit
touch
church.
based on it. Yeah. You kind of, I thought it's fitting. I didn't mean to interrupt you.
Yeah, no, it's all right. And yeah, it was crazy that they had the giant mound over there too. Right at the.
We went a lot of places, man, that nobody would believe.
Yeah.
That's in Kentucky. We even went to check out the monks. You know what I'm saying?
Yep.
that was
fun.
That was a good day, man. We got to do something like that next. We got to do that next year.
Well, for sure. So these guys push this hoax called the Piltdown Man. You all learned about it in school, and you learned about Lucy, which was another hoax, right? So in 1912, Charles Dawson, an amateur archaeologist, claimed to have discovered the missing link, quote unquote, between ape and man, because at the time when they were pushing evolution, right, scientists, the education system said, they were asking, all right, if we evolved from ape, where's the middle transitions? The same questions we were asking. Where are they? Why aren't all apes and humans? They were asking these questions, and we're not going to allow this in the education system, in the scientific community, because it's dumb. So to so-called prove this, Charles Dawson and T.R. Shedden had a part of this as well. All right, what they did is they had found a pot of like a skull of I can't pronounce that right. Pleistocene gravel beds near Piltdown Village in Sussex, England. So that's why they called it the Piltdown Man, because it was found in a Piltdown Village, the name of it, right? So Dawson wrote to Arthur Smith Woodward, keeper of the Geology of Natural History Museum at the time about his find. So basically, long story short, what they did is they found skulls and bones, whatever the case. They took a monkey's jawbone, broke it off, filed it down to fit the human skull, and then they buried it all. So now they uncovered in front of the press to say, this is the proof right here that we evolved from apes. And they had scientists come down and look at us like, wow, because they were baffled. How does a monkey's jawbone become part of a human skull? So with this hoax, and it was, I guess, years later after these both guys are dead, it was discovered as a hoax, but the education system never dropped it. So with this Piltdown Man, they're spearheaded into the education system. Automatically, the scientific community adopted this, and all of a sudden it's in the text of the school books. So I was mentioned earlier how when you looked at the text of the school books, right, it talks about creation and all that stuff, and now evolution started creeping in. There was a couple of paragraphs of evolution, started kicking out the God stuff, more and more and more and more and more. Went from a couple of paragraphs to a chapter to a book, and all of a sudden there's nothing to do with God at all. It's from God created the heavens and the earth till 13 point whatever million years or whatever it was, the earth was created. Or the Big Bang, whatever the case, and a bunch of garbage, So it all stemmed from this one hoax. And again, many years later, they discovered, and this is all mainstream history. They'll tell you, it was a hoax, but they admit it's a hoax, but they can't admit that, all right, we were wrong about this. So let's go back to the drawing board, or how about, better yet, let's just go back to what God taught us in the first place. Mm-hmm. So this was all constructed by I'm sorry?
No, what was that article? Was that 1912?
1912, yeah.
It's interesting. That goes along with military renaissance missions. I keep talking about that. Kind of interesting. I wonder if they found actual different bones and they just took monkey bones and mixed it, because then they would swing it because they find the evidence of Nephilim. You know what I mean? Like this might be something just like a what's the term? Gaslighting, I guess. They turn and switch the narrative around to fit their academia, evolution theory. Mm-hmm.
It says Dawson and Smith Woodward started working together, making further discoveries in the area, and they found a set of teeth, a jawbone, and more fragment skulls of primitive tools, in which they suggested belonged to the same individual. Anyway, Smith Woodward made a reconstruction of the skull fragments of the archaeologist's hypothesis that they found indicated evidence of a human ancestor living 500,000 years ago, and they announced the discovery to the Geological Society meeting in 1912. For the most part, the story was accepted in good faith. So in 1949, a new technology discovered this to be a hoax. You know what I mean? So anyway, it just went on, and and that's how we have evolution today. And when we get into the Jesuits and all that, why was the Jesuits connected to this? The Freemasons and all that, because they're all one and the same, when it comes to stuff. And the thing is, this country, right, England too at the time, God had a very strong presence in this country. In England and everything else, there was a lot of, they talked about God in schools and public meetings, all that stuff. So this was an elaborate hoax. Literally, the whole evolution thing. It's a dumb religion. That's what Kent Hovind was right about that. He's like, it is a religion. It's a wild, crazy religion that people believe, and there's no factual evidence for any of this stuff. And again, they'll say the fossils and blah blah blah. Now the fossils don't prove nothing. And if you look at creation, right, we bring this up all the time with the giants and everything else. The giants alone, that's why we do many shows on the giants, guys, and we could tie this right into this, right up Brian's alley. So when it comes to the giants, guys, that's why it's the most hidden thing. If you actually go check this out, right, if you go to Google and say giant bones discovered, right, now you go here, right, and you click on news, you got to find articles that go back, New York Times and all that, go back to the early 1900s and all that. And if the images here, you got to find articles, New York Times and all the major publications reported this stuff. Here in Rhode Island, here in Kentucky, that they found massive skulls. And yeah, some of these pictures are absolutely fake, no doubt, or Photoshop. But they found massive human skulls. And now this destroys the entire evolution narrative. Where did the giants come from? Because they know if they could remove the giants, because all the mainstream media was told to shut up about this. And about the mid 1900s, that's when they stopped the reporting on this stuff.
Mm-hmm.
So when they stopped reporting on the giants and all that, and now the evolution, that's the same time exactly when evolution was starting to take over the curriculum in the school books. So what they would do is they knew it would take a couple of generations to do this, because people back then knew about this stuff. Abraham Lincoln talked about it, like Brian mentioned earlier. He talked about the giants and the mountains and Niagara Falls and all that. They all knew about giants. It wasn't conspiracy theory. It was just natural history, So they knew it was going to take a couple of generations to erase this. So that's why this is one of the most covered up things in the world. And if you go to the Middle East, guys, and Africa and countries and all that stuff, it's common knowledge. They teach us stuff in school about the giants. They have mounds, they have tombs, sacred tombs in Afghanistan and all that. Everybody knows about the giants. But here in America, they laugh at you because they're dumbed down. And they think they're more educated than you. They try to make you feel inferior. And when I was in a debate with this guy Trevor from the History Channel, and when I brought these things up, he tried to say, oh, no, those are just the megalodon bones. And I'm like, which contradicted himself, because how would megalodon bones get in the middle of Arizona? Well, they're megalodon bones. Well, hold on. You just got done denying the flood. So how does megalodon bones get in the middle of a country if there was no flood? You know what I mean? So, and if you look, and it's all connected here, these giants and the flood, two things that other religions, like Eastern religions, can actually agree with the Bible. If you look at every ancient culture, right, everyone talked about the giants and the Great Flood, matching what the Bible says. Of course, they have different names for Noah, but they all match the same thing. Ancient Native American history, all that stuff. So why this is all covered up for? Because this is the wild card that destroys the whole evolution doctrine. Because now, if they have to explain to the public why there's giants out there, now they're going to have to admit, wait, hold on, there was a flood. There was giants back in those days and after that, right? After the flood. And guess what? They're going to have to explain one thing too, because it destroys the entire evolution doctrine, that there's a creator. Oh, let's not tell people that there's a creator out there, a God, a grand architect that created all this stuff. So that's why we talk about these things all the time, guys, because it's all together. And, we're not jumping all over the place because it's all together, because these things here, if the public was to become fully aware, all over the UK and the United States and Australia, the general public, if they would become aware of this, right, then the scientific community would poor excuse for the scientific community, they would have to explain this stuff. And the cockamamie excuses would come out of the mouth, because it would destroy the entire evolution doctrine.
I agree, Dan.
Yeah.
The what's so bizarre about it is the evidence of giants it's baffling.
Mm-hmm.
Even the literature, it doesn't even matter about newspapers. The literature alone, there's books, men's journals. I mean, we're talking like even the Indians was writing about it. I mean, come on, folks, 500-600 years ago. Some of these mounds in Kentucky, even the specimen they found in the early 1900s, they said to be buried there in some of the mounds that I've surveyed to be like 800 years old. So just do the math, Dan. It wasn't even, it's like less than 1,000 years ago these things were running around in Kentucky, right? It's absurdity. Like, and well, maybe Lord willing, Dan, maybe we'll be in the newspaper like 2024, 2025, maybe a little bit sooner, maybe 2023, and we'll have a newspaper article. That guy from Rhode Island, Kentucky, maybe we all come together and just be able to excavate one of these big, enormous bodies out of the ground one of these days. I'm praying about it one of these days. When you have the evidence, you have the knowledge. I mean, I'm not trying to boast and press, I'm not faking when I'm not making this stuff up. It's not speculation. This stuff is, there's maps and everything. And when you find that there's mounds that's not been touched, that's when that's when the green light goes off. My light bulb goes off, and it's like, okay. And then you start looking at the research on it. They've been kept a secret for 500 years. These families have been passed down. That they passed down to generation to farmers, and before you know, they don't even know what they got. Some of these farmers don't even know what they got. No, some of them do, but a lot of them have lost that knowledge. They believe the Sethite theory. It's crazy, Dan. It's absolutely crazy.
Yeah, it really is. And it's this whole evolution is just it's horrible, because again, it just makes you not question anything. It makes you just like, all right, I'm just going to believe what I'm told. And again, the story they sell to people, and then it's an intimidating factor too. If you question the thing, and the scientists, and people say, well, where's the scientists at that disprove evolution? You know how many scientists are out there that disprove it? Elliot Mazzulli, him too. They get blackballed from the scientific community if you start showing these things, the giant bones, and they don't tell you that the giant human bones are found with dinosaur bones. They're together, exactly. And they walk the earth together. They want to believe the whole thing, which makes no sense, right? And even when I didn't know any better, okay, I still question this part. So they want us to believe an asteroid or whatever struck the earth, and that's how all the dinosaurs were killed, right? So something of that magnitude, like a meteorite, right, whatever, they would destroy all life on the planet. So how would all those dinosaur bones and all these bones get underground? And how would we have crude oil today? Well, it's simple, because there was a flood. And if you stand on the ocean, right, you go to the beach, and you get a little tide, you just stand there, your feet start getting buried from the current. That's how they got underground. And so if this asteroid of that magnitude, first of all, would have destroyed the world, plain and simple. And there would be no life on the planet at all, which makes no sense. And also, there'd be no crude oil. So that crude oil you're pumping into your tanks, guys, the gas and all that, that's your dead ancestors. Plants, trees. Yeah, the dinosaurs would have been disintegrated. So there would be no bones left. It makes no sense. So how did the bones get underground? Like you said, the flood. The flood makes all the sense in the world. That's how you get sea fossils all over Mount Everest, places where the oceans would never, 400 miles away from an ocean. How do sea fossils, billions of them, get all over Mount Everest? Yeah, the Sphinx, the sea fossils found over there because of the flood. And again, it's the stuff that they, don't want to tell you, because again, it destroys the evolution narrative.
Well, Dan, I'll tell you this much too. I think that's why the East right now, there's a bigger. Let's just kind of go down a rabbit trail here. What happened in 2001? And we already talked about. Me and you done a broadcast together on another platform on the FOJC about 11. And you remember the weapons of mass destruction, all that stuff, and they literally admitted it. They took out 2 large coffins of their Saddam Hussein's museum that was underground. 2 large coffins, bro. And they had the Gilgamesh tablets and everything. And even they took 2,200 artifacts to do a resurrection and all kinds of mythical, magical medallions, right? So this stuff was acquired, and then I'm gonna cut it short. There was all kinds of stuff as far as auctioned off, whatnot. Well, the Iraq government just asked for it back there not too long ago. Well, if you look at all that and cross-reference the data, I believe, personally, the things that's going off in the East, and when I found out in 2016 there was pyramids in Crimea, and then Russia, well, Putin admitted it. I mean, there literally was. You can't make this stuff up. It's on the shorelines of Crimea. There's pyramids that predate the Giza pyramids. So if you look at all of it, and I wouldn't put it past them, that the stuff that's going on right now, and the world over there in the East. Watch what I say. I wouldn't put it past there's not something under the ground, Dan.
Yeah.
Because I've speculated, and kind of looked and cross-referenced some data. It's every time there's something breaks out, out of chaos, new beginning, right? There's something hidden that they have to come bring to light. So I think these places are ancient. I think they have antediluvian technology under them. And I think they're trying to basically get the population off of them in the Exodus, basically to remove them, because let's just face it, Dan, they're going to be pushing this dystopian, Saudi Arabia is behind the dystopian future as far as this smart city, this AI controlled system with Sophia, right? So what is it? Like, isn't there something there? And you can look, and I even have an algorithm. You can plug it up on Google Earth. I have more evidence of ancient mounds that are all over Russia, all over England, all over the East, all in Africa, not so much in Egypt, but my algorithm can literally pinpoint, and you can zoom in on them, Dan, and you'll get a blurred image, but it is a circle. It is a mound. So what is that, Dan? And there's so much evidence. There's so much evidence of the.
It's all over. But you won't find no evidence for evolution. And it's funny too, because they make it sound the other way around because of the media and education system. There's so much ample evidence for evolution and the Big Bang and all that. There ain't none. You know what I mean? And I'm going to go back to this we mentioned earlier. First of all, let me do this once more. Definition of science, right? So let's see what the definition of science is. Science is something to observe and experiment and demonstrate, right? That's what it is. So for somebody to come out and tell you the Big Bang happened 13 billion years ago, right? So something exploded. They say there was nothing. So something out of nothing then exploded. So it's like saying this cap for my water, right? This will spin and started spinning, then exploded, then all the matter in the universe in this room all came out of this cap. How stupid that sounds, right? So they want you to believe that, but let's not believe that God created the heaven and the earth, right? Sorry for saying right a lot. It's just like a habit. I'm sorry, guys.
I mean, you even said ain't. You even said ain't a while ago, Dan. Yeah. You said ain't. Man, you've been hanging out with me too long, man. Yeah, you've been hanging out with me too long.
Yeah. So Brian supplies the milk. But yeah, like
I supplied the milk. Yeah. Well, it was a 2019. It must have been 29. It was expired, bro. 2019 style. I'm just letting you know. I haven't touched milk for a long time.
Well, if you see this cap here, right? It's the same thing. So this cap starts spitting, and all of a sudden it explodes, and all the matter in the universe comes out of this cap. How stupid that sounds. It is stupid. But they want you to believe that's what happened in the universe. So there was nothing, all of a sudden something happened. There's something that came out of nothing, then exploded. Then all the matter in the universe came from there. And here's the thing too, right? When something spins, if you take a CD, remember when the CDs first came out? The DVDs and all that stuff? They had a problem because the computers or the players, if they spun too fast, it would break apart. Mm-hmm. And what happens is that, and the same thing with the Big Bang, it spins and explodes. Every piece, regardless of the size of the piece, you could demonstrate it. Regardless of the size of the piece, it gets scattered evenly and spins the same direction. So how do we get so-called clusters of galaxies that you got empty space of nothing, then clusters of galaxies, everything spinning in a different direction at a different speed? How does that happen? If that's even true at all, because I believe in biblical cosmology, but regardless, it's still contradicting to the whole evolution doctrine. It is just so contradicting. It's cockamanian. And so it'd be like, again, say that everything in this room came out of this cap. Instead of saying, all right, let's go here. Let's just go here. And Genesis 1, in the beginning, God created the heaven and the earth. And the earth was without form. There was nothing here. It was just, without form. The earth was here, obviously. The earth, because the earth was without form, there's no form on the earth. The earth was there, and void. And darkness was upon the face of the deep, and the Spirit of God moved upon the face of the waters. And God said, let there be light, and there was light. And God saw the light, and it was good, and he called the day and the light was the first day there. And God said, let there be a firmament in the midst of the waters. and let it divide the waters from the waters. So another thing that I want to talk about too, because above what you think is space, that's the firmament. Above that, there's waters. There's waters below the earth. And we have waters now because after the flood, there was no oceans like this before the flood. When the Bible talks about the flood coming and everything, Genesis 6, it talks about the springs from the deep open up and above. The waters came from above, not just rain. I'm talking about the firmament allowing that water to pour into the earth, to fill it like that. And how would you have a flood? I don't want to go down the road right now, but if it was a globe, how would you have a global flood? It makes no sense. So anyway, the heavens were created, and God made the firmament, which divided the waters from above and below. And it was so. And God called the firmament heaven. And that was the second day. And if you notice, right, the sun, moon, and stars didn't come to when? The fourth day. And he goes, God made two great lights on the fourth day here. It's the third day. And God said, let there be lights in the firmament. That's, what we call space of heaven, to divide the day from the night, and let them be for signs, seasons, and days and years. So let them be for the lights of firmament of the heaven to give light upon the earth, and it was so. And God made the two great lights, the greater light to rule the day, which is the sun, and the lesser light to rule the night, which is the moon. And he made the stars also. And he set them in the firmament of heaven to give light upon the earth, and to rule over the day and over the night. And God thought it was good, and that was the fourth day, right? So this is what evolution does. They teach you that a Big Bang happened, all this stuff came, then later the earth formed. The sun came and the solar system, and then later the earth formed, then life came, right? Notice how it's direct opposite what the Bible teaches? The Bible says the earth was here first. The sun, moon, and stars didn't come until day 4. But evolution says, no, it was the other way around. So that's a lie from the serpent himself, Satan. So you could choose to walk with God, and I know a lot of people who do follow Christ, but they believe in the evolution lie. Oh, God and evolution could coexist. No, God and evolution do not coexist at all. That's such an oxymoronic statement. And it shows you one thing, that people believe that they don't know the Bible. They'll listen to the pulpit, the man behind the pulpit, because even the mainstream churches allow the stuff to go on. It's no big deal. It's not a salvation issue. Well, it could be, because a lot of people who learn evolution turn away from the faith. You know what I mean? So, that's why it's a big issue, and that's why we need to educate people on this stuff. And we got your 2 articles here, too. So, Brian's trying to point out, and now evolution these days, right? They're trying to evolve us, and this goes into the New Age stuff. They try to evolve us into the next step of humanity. So we came from monkeys, rock, then monkeys, and whatever else in between, to humans, and now we're going to evolve into gods, into this great consciousness of the universe, that we evolve into these spiritual beings, which is all garbage, by the way. It comes from the Garden of Eden. So now they're doing this merging man with machines. We look at the first embryo with these hybrids, these chimeras, merging animals and humans together, and it's crazy. So if you want to explain the first one, scientists report creating the first embryo with human and non-human primate cells.
So I remember when this article dropped, I think it was approximately 2019. I think it was early reports of it in March or April that year.
April, 2021.
Yeah, well, that one's 2021, but the other one I sent you is 2019, I believe, too. Yep. But 2021, though, this is what's important. I think after they perfected it, and I think they was able to take we're talking about chimeras here, right? So we're talking about a gorilla, a monkey, or a chimpanzee, and absolutely able to splice and stick human genetics into the embryo. And then, so basically you're crossing the cells. And if I remember correctly, it was 60% human and 40% monkey. So it was born, when it was born, it was a male. And there's some diabolical abominations going on here. Okay. So it was successful. I think that the success was in 2021. And supposedly somewhere on God's earth here, this thing's walking around, and apparently it can repopulate and everything, or whatever type of diabolical thing they're going to be doing about it. So this incident here, this kind of proves where the mad scientist is coming in. And that's why earlier when, Kent mentioned the Nazis and stuff, the Aryan races and stuff. So that stuff was going on. This stuff's been going on for a long time. Even they had a project in 1950s, I think, and I don't forget the name of it, but they had a bunch of hybrid creatures. This was to do with the Area 51 stuff, but in that facility, and they had other creatures also. But this one, what was baffling, I was like, this is in 2019, 2021 information here, and we have this abomination. So let's just face the facts. Even with the gorilla, the mother, they placed the human genetics. That gorilla, even though she was a natural a monkey, she did, in somehow, shape, or form, probably got some of those DNA cells in her body, Dan. I mean, let's just face the facts, because she's carrying the baby around in her womb. And it's a bizarre world. Like, it's literally Planet of the Apes here. The document that you showed, it's Planet of the Apes. And they've been conditioning us with these Planet of the Apes films. And I think it's fitting for the program tonight.
Yeah.
Thanks for sharing it. Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
that's kind of an overall summary. I'm summarizing it, make it short and sweet there. So
cool. So you want to take some calls or?
Yeah, dude. Yeah, let's do it, dude. I'm just kidding with you. I'm giving you a hard time, Dan. Yeah, I hope I didn't talk over you, brother.
No, that's all right.
I get so passionate about some things sometimes. I try to put myself in these shoes of like how these people can, we're talking about these people, Darwinism and all these different people that believe what they believe. I picture myself in their shoes, and I'm thinking, how in the world could I go to bed at night after I told all these lies? I mean, that's kind of what I was coming up with earlier. How could you go about your life and talk about that it's billions and billions and gazillions of years, and there's all this? I mean, it's just make-believe show. I mean, you've really convinced yourself, and you've made yourself out to be a fool. And I know Kent was pointing that out. These people are deceived. They're deceived and believe in a lie. And the devil's really done a darn good job of convincing them that they have knowledge beyond knowledge. And it's foolish ways. It's foolish thinking. I think it can literally do spiritual harm to your walk. That's the way I feel about it. I know that's how you feel too, Dan. I mean, you start planting those seeds, like I was saying earlier, you start planting bad seeds, you're going to get a bad harvest. That's the way I was making the comment earlier. It's crazy. But yeah, I'm ready to take those calls. Everybody that's going to call in, please call in 20 seconds. I'm just kidding around.
20 seconds, go.
Yeah,
right.
20 seconds, go. And then when 20 seconds happen, you only got a 40-second duration of time, and we're going to cut you off. No, I'm just messing around. I'm joking, y'all.
I appreciate people watching on our Rumble channel as well with simulcasting. So, if you guys on Rumble, subscribe to our YouTube, and you people on YouTube, please subscribe to our Rumble. Links are in the description, so make sure you do that. And if you go to truthradioshow.com, we're always going to have the platforms we're going to be broadcasting on. So we like to broadcast on multiple, and someday we'll be broadcasting on Facebook as well at the same time. So we're trying to work toward that. And so we're going to get this broadcast out much as possible. And, I didn't even call out my, I want to thank ShakeandWakeRadio.com for carrying the show. They do the audio version of the show here, and also beforeitsnews.com. Check them out. I'm a contributor for them. It's alternative media, so please check them out. It's so much we could talk about with evolution and creation. And these people, they really, really anger me, these evolutionists. What they'll do is if you get into a debate with these people, right, they're very crafty what they do. They know their stuff very well. So one thing they do, and when they do get over on a lot of people, if you don't know anything about evolution, whatever, like the high scientific words, they're going to eat you for breakfast. Because what they do is they draw you into their world. In the debate, they'll draw you into their world because you can't pronounce a word, don't know what one of those long 13, 14, 15 character scientific terminology means. Automatically they think you lost the debate because you don't know what that word means. And they, he doesn't know what philanthropology, blah, blah, blah means, or even how to spell it, which means nothing at all. It's just like a long, fancy scientific word for something that's false. It's a fancy name for a lie. That's all it is. So they do, if you get into debate with these people, do not allow them to suck you into their world. Because the thing is, you're trying to prove them wrong. You use biblical stuff to prove them wrong. And they hate that. They do. Because it's not them personally. It's probably the demons in them or whatever the case that derive this information, right? So they hate when you use the word of God. Then when there's someone will be like, well, they'll start trashing the Bible purposely to get you off subject. I notice the psychology of these people. I could never pronounce half those words to save my life. I'll admit that. Or even spell them. You forget that. But again, they want to drive you into the world so they get you off guard. So you stick to the point. Don't let them drive you off into that world. And also, don't let them change the subject. Use the word of God. Then it's like, oh, the word, they'll say the Bible's full of crap, and they'll come out with some bull crap, which they're wrong about, and you could actually disprove it. It's crazy. So, 334, you're on the air. What's your name?
Lance.
Hey, what's up,
7
Lance?
minutes of freedom.
Hey, what's up, brother?
How are y'all?
Oh, pretty good.
I mean, I guess I know. It was an awesome show, y'all. It was awesome.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah, I was so excited just being in the chat.
Oh, awesome.
It was awesome. I really didn't have nothing to say. I just called to be calling, man.
All right.
Because nobody else was.
Oh, no problem. Yeah, thank you for the call, man.
But I do love everybody in the chat, and I love y'all. It's awesome. Amazing show.
Bless you.
I come over from Now You See TV, but y'all are still awesome, man.
Oh, thank you.
I watch y'all more now than I do on Now You See TV. But I mean, it seems like they don't put out as much shows. I don't know. They still want them. I started with them so long ago, man. I love them too. Y'all can tell them that they got my mad respect. David Carrico and all them.
Oh, he's coming on the show in 2 weeks, by the way.
David?
Yeah, he's coming on. We're going to do the Friday before Halloween.
The 27th.
The 27th.
I try not to miss any of y'all's shows, especially Tracy. They introduced me to her too. She got I've been trying to listen to her every morning.
Oh, nice.
She's pretty inspirational.
Yeah. And John Hall, and tomorrow night's the Midnight Ride, 11 p.m.
Yeah, John Hall's so salty, man. He's like one of my favorite dudes to listen to. Yep, the show y'all done on Flat Earth with him, man. Dude, I listen to that like out in public, just to stir it up for other people, man.
That's awesome.
Yeah,
it was a fun
y'all are
show.
awesome.
You too, brother.
Yeah, that was a fun show, man. John was so salty.
Yeah, thank you, brother.
No problem, man. I'll let somebody else call. I love y'all. I love everybody in the chat. Y'all have a blessed night. Yahuwah rules forever.
Love you too, brother.
You too, Lance.
So anybody wants to call? I know it's late. 512-547-1776.
Dan, I want to kind of piggyback on what you said a while ago.
Yeah.
I think you can speak fluently. I'm not just saying this to, just to blow smoke. I think you say a lot of vocabulary for the English language, bro. I'm just saying. I'm just throwing it out there. I mean, if anybody wants to discredit, let them discredit. People made fun of me all my life, so it doesn't really matter. It's just the way, it's where we come from, our culture, our accent. I mean, it is what it is, and man, but I see your point though. I see your point. And like earlier, you kind of swooped in, you was taking me in, Brian, you see the milk world, the milk tap. I thought I was going to go through a black hole, man. Cause you was like, yeah, this bottle is going to implode. And it was making me laugh, man. With the whole thing, it was cracking me up. The only thing I could think of, let it set out for a little bit on the desk, and you got collaborated milk, right? So you got buttermilk by the time tomorrow shows up. And I was going to interrupt you. It was making me laugh. And you was using the analogy of the milk jug. It was making me laugh. So I'm just giving you a hard time, Dan. There's my sense of humor coming out there. But yeah, you was bringing back to the milk world, the black hole, the abyss.
Well, Jason was saying that's how you provide the milk.
Oh yeah,
out of the magic hole.
Yeah, 2019 style.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well.
Yeah.
I can. Go ahead.
No, I was just gonna say that's how they are. These evolutionists, sit there and then when you start getting to them making a point, then they stop mocking you, laughing and all that. And you can tell when they laugh, it's then them trying to hide their fear because you're taking them out of their comfort zone.
Oh, yeah. You know what we're going to do? I think we should learn a different language, and we'll try to learn at least 100 words.
Yeah. And
we'll speak that on the channel. And everybody be like, what is going on? And the subtitles will be at the bottom. And we'll see if we can speak more fluently in a different language than English. So maybe people will leave us alone. That'd be kind of funny. Or we could just change our accent. I can try to speak more northern accent.
That's what Pilgrim's Way in the chat room just said. We should
What's that?
switch accents. I'll try to speak Kentucky, and then you try to speak Rhode Island.
I don't know if I can pull it off or not.
Me either.
Well, I did years ago. I had a girlfriend from Minnesota, so I tried that didn't work out. So, but I could, she would say sota, I would say pop. It didn't work. And she said she couldn't understand a word I was saying, and I said I couldn't understand a word she was saying either. So, yeah. But
you notice the foods too. All over the country, foods is called different things.
Mm-hmm.
Like we have what's those things called steamers, right? The shells. There's different clam shells. We have you have steamers. What's the other ones? Clams and oysters and quahogs and all that. So I guess in Maryland, a steamer is a sloppy Joe.
Oh, okay. I got you.
And they have different names for all over the country for things. Like a sandwich, we call them subs, sandwiches. Out in the Midwest, they call them hoggies. And if you say you want we call them grinders here too. So you go into I remember when I lived in Maryland for a little while, I went into the store. It's like, could I have one of those Italian grinders? They're like, looking at me like, what? What's a grinder? They call them hoggies and subs,
Well, you said steamer. I was thinking about Stanley Steamer. There's a Stanley Steamer company that goes and cleans your carpets. So that's the only thing I can think of. Yeah. That's the only thing I can think of, Dan, when you said steamer.
Yeah.
I was like, man, I know he's talking about food, but I don't know if I could survive up there, man. Yeah. If I said, can I get one of them grinders? They'd be like, boy, get out of my establishment, man.
Then you ask for coffee milk. They don't know what coffee milk is.
Yeah. Oh, man, it's over. Yeah.
Yeah. Hot wieners. We got all kinds of, stuff that they don't have down in the South.
Yeah, I'd have to change my accent to be like, I'd be like, crikey, I'd be talking like this or something. I'd have to talk like I'm from Ireland or something, I try to do the best I can. I do have Irish bloodline, by the way. I could probably pull that off. Yeah.
We got a call coming in. 662, you're on air. What's your name?
Melanie, this is Votaries of Truth in the chat.
Hey, how are you?
How are y'all?
Pretty good.
I just wanted to say it was a wonderful show. I wanted to say that back in 1991, my sister and I was down in Auburn, Alabama, and Dr. Kent Hovind, he came down there and did a special program for students in South Alabama, and that was the first time that we had gotten to hear Dr. Hovind. So I've known of him for a long time, and it's just real. He's real special to me and my education, and it was just real wonderful to have him on this evening, and I appreciate y'all bringing him on.
Absolutely. I've been watching him for years, long before I really started dabbling into the stuff here, and I remember watching his old videotape. Remember VHSs, the VCR tapes?
Yeah.
I was watching those, and it's like, wow, bring creation to a life. Made a lot of sense on a lot of stuff.
He did. He's been real special to me, and I hope that I get to take my younger niece that stays with my father and my stepmother to see his dino world science thing. I think that'd be really fun for her. And it's just, he's a wonderful person. I think anybody in the area or anybody looking to vacation with their children should take them, and it's a really good time. So anyway, I won't stay on long so somebody else can call, but bless y'all, bless everybody in the chat, and thank y'all for having him on.
Yeah, thank you, and thank you for the call, and God bless you.
Yeah, be blessed.
You too.
Yep, bye.
And I was gonna, we'll go ahead, Dan. I'm sorry.
I was gonna say next week, guys, we got Carrie Christian coming on. She's a former Satanist and Luciferian. She's been all over the place. She started off as a witch, I believe, and she got further into the black magic and all that. Went from a Satanist to a Luciferian, and now she's with the faith. So I forgot the name of her book, but she's gonna be coming on next week, and she's gonna expose all that stuff that when she was in the craft and black magic and all that stuff. So, and how she came to Christ is gonna be an awesome testimony.
Amen. That would be great. Yeah, absolutely.
And what's going on, Craig? How you doing, brother?
Hey, how y'all doing?
Oh, pretty good.
Hey, Craig.
Yeah. Hey, Brian. Even though I don't really agree with everything Kent Hovind said, I still enjoyed the show.
Yeah.
I don't believe in evolution or anything like that, but I mean, just from my studying the Hebrew, some of the words that the earth is just that there was some time before Adam and Eve, like in Genesis 1:2, it says, like, for example, now the earth was. The word was comes from the Hebrew word haya. And haya, the definitions are like to be, to come to pass, to come about, and fall out. And without form and void, without form comes from the Hebrew word tohu, which means to lie waste, that which is wasted, a place of chaos and confusion. And void comes from the Hebrew word bohu, which means state of waste and emptiness. And so I think the earth is a little older than 6,000 years old. I think the Bible and the Word of God, when you look at the Hebrew, it shows that there was some time before Adam and Eve. How much time there was before Adam and Eve, I don't know. My own personal belief is that there was the pre-Adam, the 6th-day creation, and then the 8th-day creation of Adam and Eve. And but I still enjoyed the show, and he was right. Like, if we all evolved from apes, why are there still apes? That's all I had about the earth being older in the Hebrew terms. I'll get off and I'll let someone else call in.
Bless you, Craig.
Bless you, Craig. And yeah, there's nothing wrong with asking questions, and it's awesome to dabble into the mysteries that God's created and all that stuff. And one day it's all going to be revealed, every little detail. That's going to be awesome.
I agree. Well, Shabbat Shalom to both of you.
You too. Shabbat Shalom, brother.
Shalom, Craig.
Right.
Thanks for calling in. He calls in every week, and bless you, Craig. Call in next week.
Yeah. We got a 763. We call you back. Say it, Brian. We're the only show that calls you back.
We're the only show that calls you back.
Hi, this is Dan Bidondi. You're on the air. What's your name?
Hey, Dan. This is Wendy Muncho calling.
Hey, Wendy. How are you?
Kent and I have called a couple times. Good. How are you?
All right. Pretty good.
Good. Hey, Brian. How's it going?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm good. Hey, I got an interesting story for you guys. So, talking about the evolutionary process and all of that interesting stuff, both about evolution and about indoctrination is my story for you, and I'll try to keep it brief. But I went to college, part of my undergrad, I went to Eastern Nazarene College up in Quincy, Mass, close to Boston. So it was interesting because there was a class that every student had to take there. Now, this is supposed to be a Christian college, and every single student, you couldn't get out of the class. Everybody had to take this course. It was called EMES, Epic Making Events in Science. And they had done a poll or a study or something, I don't know. It was basically the kids, because I was an adult when I went there, as in my late 20s. And most of them were, young college students and stuff. So the Christian, families that put their kids in the school, before they went into that class, they believed in creationism. after they took the class, they believed in evolution. And I was blown away by this. I'm like, how is this even possible? So, of course, I tried to get out of the class, couldn't get out of the class. I'm like, all right, taking the class. So me and my friend took the class, and, it was the professor claimed to be a Christian, said, all the stuff that he said about, basically he was saying that God created through evolution, which is absolutely ludicrous. But are you guys still there?
Still here.
Okay. Sorry, I'm using my husband's phone, and it's not a great phone. But anyway, so took the class, and I really feel like God put us in that class, me and my friend, because we fought tooth and nail to try to help the students, understand. We kind of debated with the professor, and by the time we left that class, several other students in the class came up to us, and they were like, thank you so much for saying what you said, debating it, because I was convinced that, evolution was real until you brought up the points. And I was like, thank you, Jesus, for that, because all these kids are just getting indoctrinated into this ridiculous belief out of a supposedly Christian college. And so I just wanted to share that story. And, even if you don't know much about, science, even if you don't know any of that stuff, we prayed, we asked God to show us, the things that we needed to learn about, the things, to understand as much as we could, so that we could bring truth into the lies that were being told. And he was faithful. And, even one of our friends that was in the class, he ended up getting saved because of what he had heard in the class and because of our testimony. And so we were just, praising God for that. So, so that's my story.
Nice.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
I remember in school, I started asking questions myself. And then,
what was that?
When I was in, don't mind me, I'm chewing something, but when I was in school, I started asking questions, and, if they don't like to be asked questions, just teach.
No. Oh, yeah. No. Yeah, the professor was, he pretty much hated us. And he made it clear. He literally, like you said, people will make fun of you and all of that. He literally was trying to make fun of us and calling us names and everything. And we're like, really? You're going to resort to that? Come on. We're, older students. We were the adults in the class. And we're like, come on, really? It was just so petty. It was ridiculous. But, that's what they do. That's what they resort to. So.
Yeah. Well, yeah, God bless you, sister. Man, I'm glad you came to the light and, seen the truth.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. All right. Well, you guys have a great night. Thanks for letting me call. And take care.
Yeah, absolutely. Anytime. And Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat Shalom to you too.
Shalom. Bye. Yeah.
We got Sister Max. She just called.
Okay. Yeah. Go ahead. I was going to tell you something real quick. They're I'm reading one of the comments here. It's making me laugh. Bonnie Jean Russell, one of my coworkers, was saying we all are descendants of monkeys. I said, maybe your family is, but mine have always been human. Could you imagine, Dan, we go to a zoo and we start going up to the cage. You're my family. And how crazy you would look, and come here, family member. I can't believe they put you in a cage. And then you'll be like, and then the zookeepers get mad at you for touching the cage. You'll say, well, I identify as a monkey. I'm an ape. I'm a descendant of this creature. You know what I'm saying? I mean, you could really stir the pot up, man. I mean, this could be, I mean, if you really wanted to be a smart aleck and go down that, and really be, I guess just nefarious, you could really make a scene in a zoo. You know what I mean? That's my cousins right there that you got caged up. You know what I'm saying? It's crazy, Dan. I can't believe, I'm so sorry, Bonnie Jean Russell, that one of your coworkers says you're from a descendant of monkeys. I don't know. I guess,
Yeah, maybe you are, but I'm not.
Well, in Kentucky now, we got Sasquatch in Tennessee. We got giants and all kinds of different things. A large amount of the population is Indian culture. We come from different tribes, but I've never heard of anybody from Kentucky, coming from descendants of monkeys, so I don't know where you're from, Bonnie Jean Russell, but It's crazy realm. I can't believe. I'm so sorry that that's where your I don't know where you work at, but your coworkers are. I guess they've lost their way, but we'll pray for that situation.
Yeah.
Yep. Go ahead and call Mrs. Max back. Mm-hmm.
Yeller.
Hey, what's up, sister?
The sky, if it starts falling, please let me know. I might be asleep.
Yeah,
how y'all doing?
Oh,
How are you
good.
doing?
What's up?
Jason says hello, too.
That's what's up. Hey, man, yeah, I'm glad you finally got Mr. Hovind on the show. What was that, like two weeks going on? Still trying to figure out if he was going to be on or not?
Yeah. Yeah, because I guess I'm going to come to find out because he had a bunch of debates scheduled and everything. So, yeah, it was for them to, put time in for me.
Yeah, that's awesome. That man can argue, and he can argue well. I've seen lots of his videos and his debates and stuff.
Yeah. Yeah, he's, that's where I learned a lot of stuff, too.
Yeah, I had ran into him. Actually, one of the first things... The first time I've actually heard of him was during when he was going through all that jail stuff and everything else.
Yeah.
But that didn't stop me from looking into him more. I was like, man, they're hating on him. Yeah.
I think they put him away because at the time the courts were introducing intelligent design. Well, they were hearing the argument for it, the Congress and all that, to introduce it into schools because they have an alternative to evolution. So they want to introduce intelligent design, which is like creation. So they wanted Kent to be on that team, and I think one of the reasons why they really put him away too is to get him out of there so he would never be on that team, to be able to argue the point in front of Congress, whatever it was, the Supreme Court, I think, to argue the case for creation.
Yep. Keeping occupied with something else so he can miss out on the main event.
Yep. It's pretty sad. But yeah, eventually, all the truth's got to come out, and truth is coming out. A lot of people are questioning things already. So, but unfortunately, right now, many people, I think most people, believe in evolution, which is sad.
It is sad. It is sad. The whole monkey deal. There was even wasn't there evidence that was it the guy that did the Darwinism thing? He had the skulls and whatever, and they actually proved it wasn't even human skulls.
Oh yeah. What's his name? Charles Dawson. He was a British paleontologist.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Straight up scans all the way through.
Yep, and that whole Lucy thing too was all a hoax.
Oh yeah, that Lucy monkey thing.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah,
it was a good show. I know a lot of people don't agree with everything, which is why I'm glad y'all brought that up. Because just because a subject here or whatever, don't completely shut the person down because there's a lot to learn.
Yeah.
Still, no matter what people believe in, just open your ears up and just disregard whatever, and then take in whatever, and it'll be all good. All good. The many years that I've been watching the show, I wouldn't say I agree on everything, and as many times as we talked, so I don't think we ever argued or fought once.
No, not at all. Yeah, we just stayed our case and take it as a grain of salt, and that's why I tell people, read it for yourself, whatever the case, and we can't force people to do anything.
Yeah. All here in love.
Yep.
Speaking of which, if I for some prayer requests, if I may.
Sure.
I have a friend that I used to go to school with in Houston. She's going to Saudi Arabia. This is her third trip over there. Prayers for protection, her and her children. She's kind of nervous, I guess, going back over there with everything going on nearby.
Oh, yeah.
And then also prayers for Valerie. I know she's wiped out. She's been so busy. Prayers to give her energy and strength to do what she got to do. And then I guess just prayers for everyone in general, wherever they have a need, wherever they have an insert Jesus here going on, just praying that God fulfills their needs.
Oh, what's your friend's name?
Her name is Monica Garza.
She's going out to where?
Saudi Arabia.
So we could do that now if you want.
Yeah.
Yeah. So if everybody wants to join us in prayer, and I apologize, we forgot to start the show in the prayer. So anyway, Jesus, Yeshua Messiah, we pray to you and thank you for everything and for your salvation. And we confess our sins individually to you. And we pray for Monica, who's going on this journey, that you keep her safe. And we pray for Sister Valerie, to her health and her situation she's in, that you could get her out of that and help her and just, give her encouragement as well. And help me speak good tonight, because for some reason I'm like just marbled mouth tonight. But Father, thank you so much for everything and this great broadcast. And we pray for everybody that needs comforting and just give them encouragement and protect us all from the forces of evil. And thank you for this great broadcast and all the people watching and just everything you do for us in this ministry and just giving us the knowledge so we come out every week and tell the truth. And we love you so much. Amen.
Amen.
In Jesus' name, amen. That's what's up. That's what I'm talking about. All good in the hood. But all right, y'all take it easy. Just calling in.
You
saying
too,
hello.
sister.
Awesome. Blessings to everyone. Y'all have a good night.
You too, sister. God bless.
God bless. Later.
Later. So yeah, no, sorry guys, I just had a marble mouth today. It's like one of those days you wake up, you're like groggy. It's been like that all day. I had an energy drink earlier, helped me a little bit, but it's like blah, 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 blah,
It might have been that milk, man. I think I blame it on the milk.
Yeah.
I blame it on the milk.
The milk.
Yeah. Yeah. Remember they used to say, "Got milk. Milk does the body good." Yep. I should have a T-shirt made when I was working around. That's the reverse effect of that. You got the groggy mouth. Don't drink
mouth.
the milk.
Yeah. So once again, guys, next week, Carrie Christian's coming on. She's the author of From the Craft to Christ. So again, she was a Luciferian, a witch, and Satanist. And she was into the New Age and everything else. And it reminds me of William Strobel a little. That's been like dabbling into all these different things, but a female version of him. I mean, so yeah, it's gonna be pretty cool, and I can't wait to interview her. And Brian, you're not gonna be on next week, is that correct?
That's correct. Everybody, I won't be in town, so I won't be able to be part of the broadcast next week. But I will be. I might check out the chat every now and then.
He's going to Guam.
That day. Yeah, I don't know if I'll be able to make it back in time to pull off the 9 p.m. Eastern time. So my apologies, folks. But I will be back for the 27th with Brother David. But if something does happen and the schedule works out a little different, I'm able to make it back, I might jump on if Dan will have me. Yeah. But I don't want to interrupt the broadcast in the middle of it, But it just depends on how it plays out. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Yeah, it'll be pretty cool. And it'll be because it's time of year, Halloween. The whole month of October is just full of spiritual filth. And, the festivals, mainly October, November, and December. It's just these 3 months are filled of spiritual filth. The feast, the holidays, and everything else is horrible. So, and you're going to see Debbie Carrot go on in 2 weeks. The 25th, you said? 27th, yeah. So the Friday before Halloween. And so today is Friday the 13th, too. So I hope everybody caught my broadcast earlier. Which was a couple years old, so I rebroadcasted it today on Friday the 13th, the history of it, with the Knights Temple, the curse of the Knights Temple, and everything else. And it's crazy how people just glorify the Knights Temple, Hollywood especially. With that movie, National Treasure. I like those movies. I did, National Treasure 1 and 2. But they did promote Freemasonry and glorify the Knights Templar, which, I didn't agree with, but they were cool movies, you know what I mean? And so, yeah, Hollywood loves glorifying the Knights Templar. There's nothing to glorify. These people, the henchmen for the Pope. And we got a documentary on our YouTube channel here, The Untold History of the Bible, A Lamp in the Dark. So it talks about the Knights Templar killing so many Christians for possessing Bibles and everything else. It's horrible. And there's a lot of blood on their hands. And, that's where the Baphomet came from. Eliphas Levi, he was the head of the Knights Templar. That's where the Baphomet came from and everything. And a lot of disgusting stuff. And, the so-called Grail bloodline of Jesus with Mary Magdalene, which is dumb. And it makes no significance either. So what significance would Matt make for Jesus had a child with Mary Magdalene? It makes no significance because that right now at the point the bloodline we're watching is the bloodline of the Antichrist because we had the bloodline of Adam until Jesus, but after that it's like makes no significance after that because Jesus is with the Father. So these people come up with these wild-eyed things. It's all that we expose it with the Essenes show we did and all that New Age stuff that they push and everything. It's all wrapped into one. It's all lies. Yeah, Jesus never had a child or anything like that.
There's a Knights of Templar book, Dan, that actually says that Jesus was a Mason.
Yeah,
if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, I don't forget what the book's name is, but I know that is something out there, which is bizarre. And then if you look at the Knights of Templar logo, it represents a 8-pointed. I mean, it literally the pyramid and everything. It goes back to. I mean, there's all kinds of symbolism. It's dark. It's just a lot of dark things. I mean, stuff that we would. It's just. Yeah, I mean, I don't want to go down that rabbit hole. We have to save it for another broadcast. Well, maybe we need to do a broadcast on the Rosicrucians.
Yeah.
Something like that. That'd be kind of cool to go into a deep topic of that.
The Hellfire Club too.
Yeah.
Actually, we talked about the Rosicrucians before and briefly on the Hellfire Club, but we never did a show on them. So we should.
We need to do a show on it.
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
It's all connected with Masonry and everything else, the Druids and Jacobins, and go down that list of Illuminati and the Bavarian Illuminati and.
Yeah, it's kind of bizarre because this stuff's kind of catching back up in society now. With the Atlantean stuff.
Yep.
Like we talked about that before. They're blending Jesus' name into the Atlantis stuff, and that makes me sick to my stomach. I mean, and that goes back. I know it all ties back to this Knights of Templar. I mean, if you start, there's word change, there's wordplay. I mean, it literally leads to the same path and the same knowledge and the categorization of it. It's just it's mindless. It's madness. It's
Kabbalistic garbage.
And esoteric. I mean, you see more esoteric stuff than you see biblical scriptures anymore. You literally see that. And esoteric, it'll literally blatantly come out and say, if you have an esoteric understanding, you'll get this. I mean, it's insanity.
Yeah, it is.
I mean, I don't know, man. Oh, speaking of, this Sunday, I hope Dan doesn't care. This Sunday, I'm going to be on FOJC Rumble. Go check out with Brother David. We're going to be doing a really fun broadcast. It's going to be something a little bit more relaxed. We're going to be talking about and decoding a film, Back to the Future. It's going to be called Back to the Future Decoded. It's going to be on FOJC Rumble. And I hope everybody will be there at 9 p.m. Eastern Time and join everybody in the chat. And me and David's going to be having a little bit of fun, a little bit more of a relaxed setting, and I hope everybody will enjoy it because we had a lot of fun facts, a lot of fun things to present to the broadcast. So I hope everybody joins us for that. And go check out my visual disturbance stuff. I had a guest on, Brother Justin, on 2 broadcasts, a Nephilim Hunter Collide, and then I had the Digging Up the Mighty Men of Old program. Kind of interesting fact, I just want to throw this out here for everybody in the future. I've been losing subscribers. I brought this up several months ago. A lot of people email me and send me texts and messages and everything. They're like, Brian, why are you deleting me? And I kid you not, folks, I'm not deleting. I have not never deleted one person since I started my channel. So YouTube keeps telling me that I have like a certain amount. Well, based off the analytics, it's telling me I have them, but I obviously don't. There's like over 2,000 plus. I think it's almost 3,000 that I'm missing. I'm not making this up, folks. So there's something going on with that, some bizarre world. So if you're unsubscribed to my channel and you was subscribed last week or yesterday or whatever, I promise you that I'm not doing it. And I think there's some kind of algorithm that's deleting them, and I'm not doing a single thing. So if you feel free to resubscribe to Visual Disturbance, I think it's in the description of this video.
Yeah.
And I appreciate it. And comment below the video here, after this is done live, just to let me know if that is the case, so I can try to see if I can come to a conclusion and actually talk to somebody, like customer service or something, and see what's going on, because that's kind of a large number of people missing, so to speak, as far as the subs. So I just wanted to kind of throw it out there if anybody has gotten a bad impression, say, well, Brian deleted me, and that's not the case at all, folks. So I just want everybody to know that.
You're gone and deleted you.
Yeah, I apologize. It's just, yeah.
Yeah, Visual Disturbance, guys. Is a description of both YouTube and Rumble here. And also, if you go to truthradioshow.com, you'll see the logo right there. Click on that, and it goes right to that. So, and actually, go to truthradioshow.com, guys. You can check out all the shows. When speaking of all the shows, tomorrow night, you got the Midnight Ride with David Carrico and John Pounders. That's going to be an awesome show. And don't forget the Remnant Restoration, the FOJCRadio, Cutting Edge, Pounders Live, and all the other content they got on NYSC TV. And please subscribe to nystv.org as well. So go check them out, guys. And again, all the links are in everything we promote. The links are in the description. And don't forget, if you want those natural products, guys, email Kathleen, and that's the email address. Yeah, just take a screenshot of the screen here with your phone or whatever, and email her. And just if you just want information, she'll give it to you. She's also on Facebook too. So if you go to Facebook and you hit her up there, and she'll give you the list of what's in each product, what it does, and everything else. And I'm living testimony. It works. I mean, I've been using stuff for about a month now. She's been sending me stuff, and I'm telling you, stuff is great, especially as a powerlifter, because like when I get out of the gym, sometimes it's like, yeah, you're sore, and yeah, it's you put the stuff on, you're like, oh, it feels great. You know, because there's a lot of recovery. When powerlifting, it's like different from regular bodybuilding. You put a lot of stress on your joints and your bones and everything else. So, because you're lifting incredibly heavy weights, and sometimes
100%
I'm like, wow,
agree.
Yeah, so you put your body through a lot of abuse.
I can emphasize with you, Dan. Yep. Ever since I've had my injury and everything in the last 4 years, my body is depleting as far as my back and everything. And I used to be able to lift a lot, even though I look small. I used to be able to lift a lot, right? Because I was a crazy milkman. I mean, we had to lift large amounts of product, Dan. And now I'm paying. Now where I've been so not active.
Set the fire alarm off.
Oh, well, it's time to evac then. But anyway, well, are you going to jump off, Dan?
Well, anyway, guys, that's Kathleen's. Take a screenshot of that. That's her Facebook.
Yeah.
Hit her up for the products, and we'll probably have to go because I don't know what that's about. So
you are leaving then?
Yeah.
Remember? Oh no, that's not good. But yeah, be blessed, Dan. But seriously, folks, Dan's got a fire alarm cracking off. Yeah. It's probably the your lovely neighbors there. They probably pulled downstairs. It. They probably pulled it because they didn't want to hear you talking anymore in the studio. But yeah, be blessed, everybody. Go check out all the links in the description and Natural Healing Products. Go check that out and inundate that email and just inquire about all of our products. So, but Dan, it's been a good broadcast.
Yeah, you too, man.
Go pull that fire alarm back up, man. It's just a false alarm. Yeah.
With the end of the world. Woo.
Yeah.
All right, guys. So thank you for joining us today, and hope you can hear me with the loud thing going off. So anyway, love you all.
We can hear you perfect, Dan. Hear you perfect, brother. Yep.
So we love you. God bless. Shalom. And remember, you are the resistance.